All right, guys, let's go. We're so unfocused right now. Hi, guys. How are you?
What's up?
Let's get it together.
So what's new?
What's new? I am so out of it today.
Our whole house is under the weather. Kids are sick.
Well, I'm not sick.
Well, you're still sick from like 5 months ago.
From 3 years ago.
Never-endingly sick.
Never-ending illness. I got COVID over Halloween last year, and I thought I got better, and then around the holidays, I got sick again with the flu. And since Christmas, I've been coughing, and then I've tried everything. I've tried steroids, antibiotics, inhalers, every type of cough medicine, cough drops, potions, all kinds of weird stuff. I tried Eastern medicine, nothing worked. And then I remembered when I had long COVID 2 years ago, the docs prescribed some stuff, some muscle relaxant that I had left over of.
Oh wow!
And I don't think technically speaking, you're not supposed to keep old medicine, right? But I was like,
you can.
You never know.
It's less potent, they say. Like,
well, I'm going to say that it's pretty potent because this medication.
You never know. You keep all the medicine,
so
for the end of the world.
Yeah, you never know when it's a zombie apocalypse, right? So you need the medication. So this is day 3 with this medication. I'm definitely coughing a lot less.
That's good.
You're like shit.
So you're very unproductive.
Yeah.
And unfocused.
I'll do my best. But the medications seems to be working, but I don't know if this is the right way to go about doing it. So
Definitely not.
For all the little boys and girls who are listening to this, don't take old medication, okay? You didn't hear it from me.
Oh
right?
boy.
But anyway, that's what I've been up to. The work must go on.
Yeah.
Must go on.
What
about you guys?
We've been chilling.
You've been escape rooming on
Xbox.
Just playing Xbox for the last week or so.
We got Jen obsessed with Rolando's Xbox. And, he hasn't seen his Xbox.
I'm fully trained for WPPI escape games. I'm ready.
Well,
locked and loaded.
Yeah, because escape rooms are not cheap.
No.
But you guys.
So you find it on the Xbox.
Treat yourselves. A little birdie told me that you guys really crushed these last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're doing well. We went from a dry month, right? There wasn't that many leads coming in, and out of nowhere, leads in our inbox almost every day.
Yeah, it was good. So we booked 6 of 8 meetings that we had that week, which was
must be nice. No, I'm kidding. Karis has been crushing it, and I just got another booking today. So, I mean, for us, it's not like we're not making the crazy kind of money that we were making during COVID. We're right around where we're supposed to be, at least for the primary brands. The associate brands that we have, it's a little bit behind, but
and we're working on the wintertime projects. Now we got
what's your wintertime project?
Typically, it's updating our website. Just going through the images to make sure that it still speaks to our target client. So we've kind of held off on that because of a mentorship that Jen just started. And one of the things they were going to do is go through our website and give us a website audit. So we just got that, and I have to finish going through the video so I can implement those changes going forward. So I do have work now going forward.
Yeah.
A little bit less Xbox in the next couple of weeks.
Wow.
And we had a wedding 2 weeks ago. Our next one is in 3 weeks. So we're pretty good right now.
Was that your first wedding this year?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was 60
degrees. Ceremony was outside.
Must be nice.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Last 2 weddings, freezing out of our
this
minds.
past weekend was cold. Yep, my hands
I
were
was shooting
frozen.
last weekend too. It was
We
freezing.
both shot, yes, with Steve.
And we also did a branding video this week, and so did Karis.
Yeah, Karis, shout out to James Lou.
James Lou Films. We're gonna give some free press.
Yeah.
James Lou Films. He is tough.
He's hustling. But how were you guys with your interviews? Because you guys are professional podcasters now, right?
Oh,
No.
your
So-
boy. My
So-
patient was getting this thin yesterday.
So I tend to overthink what I'm saying, right? But it doesn't help, and I know why he was asking the same question in a different format, throughout the whole interview.
Yeah.
Because he's probably trying to extract a better answer from you later on. And it just my mind, I'm like, I fucking answered this already. Like why do I have to answer it again? But it was tough, and he wanted to both of us equally
talking and not just me.
And I was like, Jen is like that's her. That's what she handles in the business. Like, and then when we got to the shooting portion, she doesn't shoot as much as I do, right? So he's telling her, "You need to shoot more. You need to shoot more." And she's like, "That's not what I do," you know.
She got to sit in the corner with her phone.
Yeah.
He was like, "Why aren't you shooting?"
Yeah, so
Like, I don't.
It was, I think we did okay. I think overall it'll come together good.
Let's hope
Yeah.
so.
But-
Yeah.
How about you, Karis?
Brandon shoot.
I told you.
Well, you
I
told me. You
kind
didn't
of,
tell the
I
audience.
kind of felt the same way about him asking like questions.
Yeah.
But I was like, isn't that the same thing, right? What do you want me to say now, right?
Mhm.
And he's like, no, kind of switch it up. Now it's from your point of view. You're selling you, you're not talking to them. Just say you, me. And I'm like, so yeah, I thought I did horribly, but
It was hard. It was hard.
I
It's
was
not
like,
as
can we
easy.
just not do any interviews and just show my photos?
This is why we
Slideshow.
photographers stay on this side of the camera.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a good experience though. It was-
Yeah.
But what he like, I don't know if you guys know this. Like, I was the one who told him to do this, right?
Mhm.
I was like, you got to serve those who serve you. Actually, even if they don't serve you, you got to serve others in your community. Because the thing is, people might know who you are, but they might not like you. They might not trust you, whatever. And this is just one way for you to kind of foster those relationships. And I think
Mhm.
that's oftentimes something that's overlooked. I can't tell you how many times that I've gotten work because I had that relationship. It's
Mhm.
about people liking you and knowing you and trusting you. And, this little, I wouldn't say it's little, but it's a big endeavor for him. It's a lot of work for him. But
Yeah.
this
And
is
he's
kinda-
handling it very professionally because if you're like giving a service to somebody at no cost, like
Right.
we had a pre-meeting call. He showed up 15 minutes early to the shoot yesterday, was like, had his
All
questions
gears,
prepared,
Yep.
Mhm.
has a vision.
and he was honest when
He was very strict with us.
when he felt that it didn't sound true to who we were.
Yeah.
He was like, "No, do it
Yeah,
over."
redo it.
Yeah.
And then the fourth time, do it over.
Did he tell
Yeah.
you how old he is?
No, how
No.
old is he?
26.
Wow.
What was I doing
looks
at
young.
26? What were you doing at 26?
I was still trying to find out what the hell I'm gonna do. Seriously, at 26, I had no idea what I was
This kid's
gonna do.
going
Yeah.
places. He's going
Oh,
places.
good for him.
Anyway, talking about people who's going places,
Yeah.
we have a very special guest. That's the name. I didn't know how else I was going to introduce him.
That was perfect. Yeah, that was perfect.
That means you're not stuck to where you are, Fernando. You got places to go.
Yeah,
Okay, bye guys.
Anyway, before we introduce him, you guys ready to start this podcast?
We are.
Let's do it.
All right, guys, welcome to the Focus AF podcast. My name is Ben,
I'm Karis.
Jen.
And this is Ro.
and we are not Focus AF.
No,
I
we're not.
think we're 50%.
I am.
Never,
I'm focused
never.
now.
The Molinas are focused.
We're never focused.
I had my lunch. I'm good now.
Yeah.
I'm recharged.
Not hangry.
Yeah. So today's special guest is someone who came into my life. I want to say almost maybe even 10 years ago. I don't know when or how or where I met him, but it seems like we've been intertwined for a very long time. How about you guys?
A couple of years ago only, I
Yeah.
think.
A couple years ago.
But no, but it's funny. Like we worked with Blanc Noir a decade ago, but in Staten Island, you weren't there. I don't think it was somebody else that was there. I think.
Blanc Noir of Staten Island.
They did a wedding out there. I don't know. And then a couple of years ago, I had another wedding, and that was it.
Mm. But now we can't seem to take this guy.
You love me.
AKA the Summit Savior.
Yes. Without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to our very good friend, Fernando.
Did you forget his
You
name?
forgot your name.
Don't cut it.
Our
Don't
very
make
good
it-
friend.
Don't make it sound nice.
No, keep it in. It's funny. It's
We'll
perfect.
shorten that apart.
No, leave it. Leave
Has to
it.
say.
That's probably the best intro. Yeah.
The medicine,
What's your name?
It's the medicine, guys. It's the medicine. Anyway, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I think what you guys have been doing is super fun. So when you guys asked me, I was like, yeah, let's make it happen. Full disclosure, this is my first podcast, so
Oh, nice.
we'll see how it goes.
You'll do
But I do
good.
like to talk. And
we know.
We know.
There's more beer in that bag once you're done.
there's beer. I'm not supposed to be drinking, but yeah.
So Fernando, we start off with you just telling us who you are, what you do, how you got started.
Okay.
In 10
I'm
minutes
still
or
lost.
less.
I don't know what I'm doing with my life now. I'm kidding. Yeah, well, back to what Ben said. Yeah, it's been almost 10 years since we first worked together. I think it was a Maritime Park wedding.
I'm not surprised.
That's where Ben's always at.
Yeah, I think that's like his home away from home. But my name is Fernando. I co-own Blanc Noir Event Group. We started 12 years ago, which is kind of nutty to admit that publicly, but it is what it is. No, we're super happy. We're super proud of what we've done. My partner Christian and I were just talking today. We're our humble beginnings. My mother's dining room 12 years ago.
Aw.
But yeah, we specialize in like just really fun bespoke weddings. We're not really, those guys that do a lot of fist pumping and a lot of line dancing. But yeah, I think we're just a little bit different than the rest in terms of our programming, but also more of like our attention to detail and just developing relationships with our clients. I like to think that my clients are like super, super cool with us, but we've developed points where like they're our friends. Like one of them lives literally 2 blocks from my house. They're at my house literally every other week, which was amazing because I found that out like literally right before our finals meeting. Both of us kind of take that mantra of like building relationships with our clients where it's very much friendly, like you guys, like especially after seeing what you've been doing during the summit and everything. We try to sort of take that approach rather than being one of those guys that are doing 150, 200 weddings and we have like 10 DJs in the roster.
Yeah.
We're definitely more of the less is more, but more of the quality and focusing on each individual couple one at a time. Not knocking the guys that do doubles and have a bunch of guys working for them. God bless you. I hope that maybe we get there at one point. But I feel like the last 12 years, the way we've approached the business and the way we've approached our clients has led us to where we are now. Our success is definitely related to our business model, and I think we're going to keep it going. We may be changing some things here and there. But I think also the thing that's going to pivot this year is we're going to start flaunting my bilingualness. Never really did that before.
Why?
The trends we're noticing, and I think you probably noticed because you guys are Hispanic. The upwardly mobile Latino is starting to open up the wallet a little bit.
I can do it. You want to hear my Spanish?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
boy.
I'll teach you all the bad words first because that's usually what I go for.
That's what
We told him that means I love you.
Yeah. You ever see those videos where like the construction guys are teaching the white guys what to say and it's just like the most crude and obscene thing in the world?
Yeah, there's an Instagram guy. So he does these videos. He's like, it's your moment of zen. And then he teaches you bad words in Spanish, but then tells you it's like, you're my favorite person. I love you.
So anytime I meet someone that's from a different country, and like we become friends, I'm like, teach me all the bad words first.
Yeah.
So I know the bad words in Russian, Turkish, Farsi, Italian, Portuguese. I used to know Mandarin,
That's funny.
but I forgot.
That's Cantonese.
What
I
do you
speak
speak
Cantonese.
Cantonese?
Yeah, he speaks Cantonese.
Does he,
Come on, man.
Karis?
I do. You're going to see in a few weeks, all right?
But,
Karis like, yeah.
No, a few weeks it's just gonna be check marks on the menu. And it's in English.
Let's talk about it. We're starting to notice a big trend in, I guess you want to say like the upwardly mobile Latino. And I don't mean it in an offensive way whatsoever. It's just more the market is changing. It feels weird because I'm feeling older now because, now I got
we're all
like
getting there.
26-year-old
We had a
recent graduates.
22-year-old like
Yeah.
in
Oh, you
November.
want to feel old? This month alone, I had 4 Sweet 16 girls that I did their Sweet 16 10 years ago.
Oh,
hit
you
me
know
up
you
for
did the
their
wedding?
weddings.
Oh,
my
wow.
gosh.
Oh, no.
4, all in 2 weeks, and I booked 2 of them. The other ones, we were out of their price range, but the fact that they
Oh
even
my
hit me up,
gosh,
it was
yeah,
like
yeah.
pretty awesome.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, one of them was like probably our second real client under Blanc Noir. Like, and I remember going when I saw her name in the lead sheet, I was like, oh my god. And I went back to our Facebook fan page to because we used to post candid photos for every event, and I found her album and I sent it to her and I replied, I'm like, remember this? And she just started laughing, hysterically
Aw.
crying. And her
Wait.
mom called me.
So how did Blanc Noir come about though?
So
And
it
why?
came about
Who's
the
French?
name or the
Who's
company
French?
itself?
No, the company itself.
Okay, so
Both and the name. Tell me the
okay,
whole thing.
so I'll tell
The
you the
origin
full story.
story.
So I started DJing when I was 16. I had transferred from high school in Newark to Belleville. My parents bought a house. I was going to magnet school. I didn't want to make the commute. And, I also didn't want to see certain people anymore after freshman year. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to transfer. So a funny thing was the new school, Belleville High School, had a media department with a TV station, a full DJ booth,
That's cool.
It was like the first school in New Jersey to actually have their own TV channel. So like
that's
public
nice.
access TV. So I became really obviously interested in that. And then the teacher that I had, Mr. Alves, he was, I think we related because he grew up in Narrowbound. I did too. He's Portuguese. I grew up with a bunch of Portuguese people. And he's like, and it seems like you spent a lot of time here. What do you do? And I'm like, well, I don't really have any friends here. I just moved here. And this was around like TRL time. Remember?
Yeah.
Total Request
Yeah,
Live.
Carson Daly?
Did you want to be Carson?
So he's like, what do you think about, doing something here? Like you could do your own news show. I'm like, well, I don't want to be on camera. And here I am on camera. But, I've been dabbling with DJing for a long time and I see you have 2 turntables, a mixer. He's like, well, why don't we do like a radio show? I'm like, how about like a TRL? And I ended up having my own TRL. I thought it was cool. 4 or 5 people would call every night and then it just started picking up. It was cool because you turn to channel 34 on was it Comcast at that point? And there I was DJing and train wrecking.
You do this every night, once a week?
I would do it twice a week.
Twice a
Oh,
week.
wow.
Yeah.
And you had five listeners.
I had 5 listeners
That's
every
5 more
other.
than us.
So and then girls started like calling me like, hey, I heard you on this. You want to do my Sweet 16? And then it progressed into
really?
that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
I was always obsessed with music. My dad was a big vinyl head. He wasn't a
Oh, wow.
musician by any means, but like
Yeah.
the few
Always
memories
played
I have
music.
of him
Yeah.
was sitting on his lap with a glass of whiskey listening to vinyl.
Nice.
So I guess like those things correlate.
When
Yeah.
you scratch on the vinyl, does that ruin the needle or the vinyl?
No, you buy specific needles for that, and you technically can ruin the vinyl, but most guys have usually 2 copies of each track. But I don't use vinyl anymore. Just my back doesn't like it. So we're
It's
strictly
so
digital.
rare that you see anyone like.
Yeah, my partner sometimes breaks out his turntables, but I think he's also realizing like we're about to be 40. I
Yeah.
don't want to be carrying that
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, fast forward to high school, like the end of high school. I started working for I guess you want to say an established DJ company. The guy that did my senior prom. I was in the prom committee. I was Mr. Popular by the time like senior year came around. I was not really.
He's
But,
that
Is the
DJ.
TV get DJ?
the-
TV
yeah,
guy?
he's like the DJ, and I was involved in prom committee. We picked a DJ. Apparently, he was a townie guy. So I got accepted to a bunch of schools. Didn't know what the hell I wanted to do in my life. So I went to community college, and I needed a part-time job. So I started waitering at Maple Country Club and Mayfair Farms
Wow.
alongside my entire family. Like when I mean my entire family, except my mom, everybody worked there. Aunts, uncles, cousins, both my sisters. And I saw him pull up to a wedding at Maplewood, and at that time I was like done. I was like, I can't do this. Like waitering weddings is just not for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I approached him. I was like, "You remember me?" He's like, "Yeah, I remember you." I was like, "You hiring?" He's like, "Yeah, give me a call on Tuesday." I called him on Tuesday. He's like, "All right, come on Saturday." And I called out of Maplewood. I basically just said, "I'm done. I quit."
Nice.
And I showed up to the wedding. He's like, "I didn't think you were serious." I'm like, "Yeah, I was. I quit my job." And then fast forward 5 years, pretty much let's call it. I was his bitch for. His main assistant would never let me get on the decks. It was like one of those like, no,
Yeah,
get out of here.
yeah.
It's not for you. So it took a little bit longer, but full credit to this guy. He was definitely good to me when I needed a little bit of help. I got myself into some financial trouble. I had a heavy foot, so he loaned me some money or whatever. But so I'm big into loyalty. So I stayed with him longer than I probably should have. I'm sure we all have one of those stories where like I should have probably left way longer than that. But
Oh yeah.
For sure.
yeah, so fast forward to my second stint in college. I dropped out twice. I just didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
None of us do.
Yeah.
This is my peak MySpace. I had a couple residencies at clubs at that point. Nothing crazy. And I run into my partner, Christian. I'm like, oh, Christian, I haven't seen him since 8th grade. This is fresh sophomore year of college.
Mhm.
And I messaged him, like, I didn't know you were DJing. Like, yeah, man, I'm DJing. So he had a couple residencies. He was working for a bar mitzvah company in Central Jersey. And then we just started kind of like talking and switching ideas and whatnot. I already had my own first LLC, which I thought I was a big boy. I'm like, hey, I know how to file LLC paperwork. Real creative name, Serrano Entertainment LLC. I still have that. I still pay the dues.
Aw.
It was going. I wasn't really getting any like big clients. It was like 316, 15s, a few communion parties, which I
Yeah.
Your parties?
Yes. So it's
Yeah.
North Jersey, like the Italian market, they're big into having communion and christening parties for their kids.
Interesting.
And they hire DJs to basically be glorified babysitters.
Yeah, basically.
They're second graders.
It varies.
First communion, second
I have
grade,
no
think.
idea. I haven't been to a
That means
Catholic
you're
church in a very
teaching a
long
bunch of
time.
8-year-olds, a bunch of 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds?
Yeah, so
Yeah, but
basically
you're
you're
babysitting.
literally corralling 30, 40
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah, yeah.
And
They
you're not DJing. You're like
Entertainment.
Yeah.
entertainment.
It's like
So
a
you're
mitzvah.
you're yes.
Clown.
At least a mitzvah.
Make me a clown.
Make me a bicycle clown. Yeah. So that scene resonates with me deeply because that's exactly how I felt. I felt like I was a
Play
glorified
Baby Shark, clown.
Like I would tell kids, like, "All right, you little hyena," but you know. And then what happened? I don't know. Like, so I started DJing for guests. I don't know if you guys remember the guest stores used to have DJs.
Yeah.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Like a clothing guest?
Like you on a
Oh.
Friday, Saturday, sometimes on holiday weekends, they would have a DJ for 12 hours.
Wow.
And I was getting paid really good money plus 50% off the clothes.
Nice.
That's pretty
So,
dope.
Yeah.
Were you
and at
paid
the
by
time,
lo-
guest
were you
was
paid by- Were you paid by the local store or by corporate?
corporate.
Shut up.
Yeah. So I was a 1099 employee and I would get 50% off the clothes.
Wow.
And then funny thing was the manager at the one in Short Hills, he was a friend from high school. And he's like, listen, sometimes we need like a little help at the stockroom. I'll pay you your DJ rate to help us unload the car.
Sure, I'll play
So I
music
was
too.
making almost as much money as him, and I was not technically a store employee.
Yeah.
So it was a fun time.
It's
Yeah.
okay. You unloaded
Yeah.
boxes.
Yeah, I didn't care
Yeah.
because I would walk home with like 3 bags of clothes for like $100.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about guests, like
They're
that stuff was expensive.
Yeah, it was.
Man, I
and-
still have the stuff from Banana Republic from 25 years ago, man.
Tell me you have an Affliction T-shirt with glitter, and I will leave right now.
No. I work for Banana Republic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Banana
It's very
Republic
boring.
is yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What?
All right, let's get.
Can we
I
not
want to
get-
get to this part now. So now finish your origin story.
Oh yeah. So so I hit up
people.
Christian, and I was working at Guess, and then there was this other guy that was involved with us, and I became really good friends with him. And when I started talking to him about his trajectory, he used to open up for DJ AM. Yeah, DJ AM was the greatest DJ to ever live, and he had incredible contacts in the city. I mean, like incredible celebrity business, like corporate stuff. So in my head, I'm like, all right, cool. This guy will be the corporate guy, and then Christian and I will handle weddings.
Mm-hmm.
And I approached both of them. I showed them a very rudimentary, very copy and paste business plan, and I said each one of us would have equal ownership. Let's make this happen. I need X amount of money from you. And they both took the leap. Him and I were pretty much full-time DJs at that point. Christian was still doing his thing, speech therapy wise. Shout out to DJ Menace. He's famous on TikTok and Instagram. Follow him. I'm not cool like him. And 12 years later, here we are.
Nice.
So back to the whole demographic aspect of things. So Christian and I are both bilingual. He's Colombian American. I'm Ecuadorian / American. At this point, I've lived the majority of my life here,
Mhm.
even though I would definitely consider myself more Ecuadorian American at this point. Not that like my cousins would agree because they call me the gringo.
Yeah, you're not
all the time.
Ecuadorian enough.
Yeah, I'm not Ecuadorian enough.
I'm not Puerto Rican
according to them.
enough.
But meanwhile, I speak better Spanish than they do, and I write in better Spanish than they do. So shout out to Norma. She didn't let me speak. She didn't let me speak English when I got home. Funny now that I mentioned that, my mom's always joking around. She's like, "So where's my cut?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Well, you're a bilingual DJ, and you're probably charging more money." And I'm like, "Damn it, she found out."
Can you charge more for being bilingual?
So that's gonna be our new thing.
You
It
want
was
me to speak
never a
Spanish? It's
thing,
another $500
but
bucks.
and somebody will probably jack this idea, but whatever, doesn't matter. You're not me. No, we're noticing that there's definitely a big shift in trends in terms of the clientele. I never went for the Latino wedding industry crowd, whatever you want to call it, client base, because we all know, especially you guys,
Well, we don't.
not them so much, but
No, we know, which is why we don't.
But you already have the clients who are at your level in terms of investment point, and they have that appreciation for it. The people that we would probably deal with when we
Attract,
first started or attract at the jump because they look at us like, oh, they look Hispanic enough.
And does it depend? Are they both Hispanic in the couple?
Yes.
How,
Really?
how often? How many times a year?
Not too many
Just a
times.
handful of times a year. Like,
Yeah.
I would say maybe 2 to 3.
Exactly.
Okay, it's so rare. It's rare for
Exactly.
us.
And we get
Yeah, so I would get a lot of inquiries, and it was always very, very low budget. Like very, very
Yeah.
low budget.
you have to
My-
understand. Sorry to interject. In our culture, we never had you don't have weddings. Like it's not especially immigrant culture.
Yeah,
when you
how
come
can-
here, you don't grow up going to weddings. It's not a normal thing because we couldn't afford it.
Right.
So when you now are like the first generation here, and it's time for you see the American culture, and you want to plan your wedding
Well, the way Americans do weddings.
the way Americans do it, because now you're in America, and then you have to try and keep up. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
So
I was like, didn't we have this conversation recently? I was like, yeah, we did.
we did.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and you know, like the saying is, and pardon the crudeness, there's an ass for every seat. There's a market for everybody. There's venues that cater to that clientele.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, my experience has always been that particular segment of the market is very difficult to work with in terms of not only their expectations, but also their approach. They tend to be very, very hard to just even please and communication and on all that
They
stuff.
want the world.
Yes,
Yes.
literally what I was
I
just
love
going to say.
my-
They
I
want the world for a dollar.
Yes.
And it sucks to say that about your own people, but I'm real. That's the reality
Yeah.
of it all.
I love my bougie clients.
Yeah. Well, this is where I'm segueing into now, where we are noticing that I'm getting some really bougie Hispanic clients.
Right.
And we never really kind of, I guess you want to say, promoted I'm bilingual. I'm not only bilingual, like I'm fluent. Like I can handle everything and anything in both languages. There's guys there's plenty of MCs and even DJs that will speak their very broken Spanish and they'll get away with it, and that's fine. And yeah, they might know the music because they grew up with it. Like I have a couple guys that sometimes do work for me where they don't speak Spanish, but I can send them on a Latin-based event because they know the salsas, they know the merengues, they know the bachatas, not necessarily just play suavemente. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That to me is like the quintessential, like, do you know Spanish music? And they're like, yeah,
That's
I play
the go-to.
suavemente. I'm like, that's not Spanish music.
I would say there's a similar trend in the Asian American culture too. Chinese American, Korean American.
Every subculture has that. Yeah.
Immigrants.
Every immigrant.
First generation, like
First gen, yep,
times passed, so like the kids are grown, and
and
the
they
other
grow up in
kids
this
are
culture,
grown.
and
Yep.
because even
So
when
it's like
Karis
second and third generation.
even when Karis and I got married, I guess we were kind of like the bridge between like the traditional style and the more Western style. Like,
Well, you shouldn't be. You're like fifth generation here, right?
yes, I am.
Yeah, I know what you are.
She is calling out the
I am
receipts.
I am like 1.5 generation here. Our
But
family.
for those generations, they stayed in Chinatown.
Ben's family
okay?
helped
Anyway,
build America.
I'm more American than most Americans, you know. But there were four of those generations stayed in Chinatown, so they didn't.
Yeah,
really,
they're like the most Chinese family.
Well, do you know why though? I'll give you a quick history lesson. Chinese people were given an area of.
I'm talking about your
I know.
parents and your brother.
I'm
His
explaining to you
brother,
right now.
his brother was born here, like the most Chinese person ever. I'm like, what is going on? Yeah, his brother.
He doesn't speak Chinese though.
He doesn't even speak Chinese. He cooks all these traditional Chinese
Well, he's
dishes
That's kind
that
of cool, though.
He's got
yeah,
time on his
even
hands.
his mother can't make. I'm like, what is going on?
Aw.
Well, my
Can you
dad-
invite him here? So, because I would love to taste his
makes.
cooking.
Oh my god,
He's in the West Coast.
yeah,
he's
he's so
extra.
He's so extra.
So he's lives in the West Coast. He's more Chinese than American. So and he moved out there for that reason, or just because
No,
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 his
he
wife
moved
got
out.
out there,
His
so-
wife.
my experience with Chinese Americans from the West Coast is very different than
yeah,
East Coast.
yeah.
They assimilate a whole lot more with the Eastern
Western culture?
cultures. No.
Eastern culture.
Eastern
Yeah,
cultures. They seem to have a little bit more like connection to quote unquote the homeland.
Yep.
That's been my experience.
There's more newer immigrants there.
Yeah.
It's closer.
Even Koreans.
Right.
Even
Yep,
like my experience
closer,
with Filipinos too. Like
Yeah.
I have a ton of Filipino friends. I have God knows how many couples of Filipino. And whenever like people from the West Coast come by, they're like, yeah, we don't do this thing like this.
Yeah.
We do it a little bit more muted, and all that. They're not used to like the quote unquote Jersey style stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, a lot of people aren't.
Yeah.
Even people from like,
Yeah, we're definitely unique in that.
the only
Yeah.
one. We've
Yeah.
done weddings to people, guests flying in like from Baltimore,
Yeah,
other
yeah.
states. They're like,
just a couple of states away. It's
It's different.
totally
The
different.
culture. Yeah,
Pasta,
did I ever tell you the time I went to a golf course out in it's a golf resort out in LA, very well known name, and 30 minutes and a cocktail, ran out of food. I was like, this is unreal. This is.
We don't have this
never
problem.
This is unacceptable.
Yeah.
We're just throwing like food
I
here
did a
in
wedding in New
Jersey.
Hampshire. They literally, like, the chick hit me up and she's like, every DJ up here sucks. I'm like, oh, so where are you from? Are you from New Jersey? She's like, no. We are from Vermont, New Hampshire, but I Googled cool DJs and somehow your name came up and you were the only one who replied.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow.
And
Oh,
I was like,
terrible.
oh, yeah. Well, listen, if you're willing to pay our fee and put me up for 2 nights, I'll drive up there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was at the Dartmouth
Sweet.
Wow.
Dartmouth College. It was so for me. It was just more of kind of like a cool thing to do. Like
Yeah.
I didn't really make a lot of money,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it was
So get away.
and the driving sucked.
But
Yeah.
by the way, did they book the hotel? You booked the hotel?
No, they gave me one of their rooms,
Uh-huh.
and we drove up there, and it was a full production, and everybody from the venue to the photographer to the guests, they were all kind of like, "Who is this guy, and what is going on here?" Because she saw my website, she's like, "Ooh, you do sparkle? I want that lights, clouds." Photo booth.
She wanted
She wants the whole
like
jazz
the
package.
Jersey.
Yeah.
So she wanted like
You
the
got the dancing
Jersey
robot?
wedding.
Did you get the dancing
No,
robot?
I couldn't get them to go up there, so I did inquire. And once I sent her the proposal, she saw. She was like, okay. She like didn't flinch.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool, great, awesome. Now I got to take off the entire weekend because we're gonna go up there the whole time. But at the end of the night, the venue is like, would you be willing to come back up here? I'm like, yeah, if the money makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
You know, you guys are great. They were
You just
easy
have
to
to
work
charge
with. They're
them,
like,
yep.
we've never seen anybody like you. And in my head, I'm like, that's an ego massage for sure. She's like, no, you're organized and you're like, you didn't do what these guys do. They come in here with a polo with their logo on
Yeah.
it. Like you guys have 3-piece suits on. I'm
Yeah.
like, so this is not normal? They're like, no, not at all.
No, we do things different
Yeah.
here in
Yeah.
Jersey.
Yeah, we gotta.
Well, I
Prioritize
think
weddings.
it's also because the market, it's very competitive.
Here,
on
it's very
all-
competitive.
on all ends.
Mhm.
Down to like the girl that does invites. Shout out to RSVP Babe, my wife's business.
There you
Okay.
go.
Plug it in.
Have to plug it in.
But we are the state that does. What was it that Michaela showed us the chart of like New York, New Jersey is the biggest states for
Yep.
weddings and the
Wedding.
cost per wedding.
Yep.
It's the highest.
100%.
Yeah.
The average is
Yeah.
60 here. It's almost
75, I thought.
More than-
75.
so it's more than two and a half times the national average.
Uh-huh.
So when I love when I
Amen.
see these like wannabe influencers saying like, "Oh, your average wedding DJ should cost $1,600.
Yeah,
your
yeah.
photographer
What?
should be $2,000." I'm like,
Yeah.
what in
Yeah.
what's new?
in
In Alaska,
My buddy who got married before us, I asked him how much he spent for his whole wedding. It was $15,000 all in.
Wow.
Food,
Where?
Maryland.
Damn, I should have had my wedding.
Like food catering,
Yep,
DJ,
Maryland.
photographer, everything, all in 15 grand. I was like, 15 grand.
I mean, I guess it's just the nature of the beast of living here. The cost
Yeah.
of living is extremely high
Yep.
around here. You know, like I was just reading the report, like the average property tax bill in New Jersey is like $9,500.
we're first place.
Yeah.
Highest
Yeah.
taxes.
We're one of the highest.
I mean,
Yep.
it's always been like that, but then I know people that have moved out of here
Yeah.
and they enjoy the cost savings, but they seem to be rather miserable.
Oh, they're bored.
The quality
Yeah.
of life is pretty high up here, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could never live anywhere else.
Everything
No, I'm
takes
good
like
right
Go
here.
to
5 hours.
Mexico, have lunch, come back.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like you would probably get bored of it rather quickly because those things probably get old real
Yeah.
quick.
It's a vacation.
It's very
spot.
limited.
Yeah,
It's
like
like it's on visiting. You know,
Yeah,
so
just
I like
visit,
it.
have fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
And doing what we do, like if you want to transfer to another state, is
We're gonna make
impossible.
peanuts.
You make
Yes.
nothing.
So I did
Oh.
a my friend Kathleen. I did her wedding a long time ago. We met through interesting circumstances. It was. Do you remember Bamboo in Seaside? It was like one of those like
We're New
typical
Yorkers.
like Jersey Shore nightclub things. We used to rent a house every summer there. Anyway, I met her there because we always used to throw parties. So I did her wedding, and then I did a bunch of her friends' weddings. Then her sister come along, and she's like, "Hey, I'm getting married, but I am getting married in Miami. Would you be willing to do it?" I'm like, "Sure, whatever. You know, just pay. I'll come up
How do you
with
get your gear there? You rent down there or what?
So that's exactly what happened. So I went on Facebook, and I joined a bunch of DJ groups from Florida, and I'm like, "Hey, Jersey DJ, I'm looking for rentals." Some guy hit me up. He's like, "Hey, I'm actually from New Jersey, but I moved down here 10 years ago." He was like from West New York or something like that. And he's like, "Yeah, I can furnish everything for you. I'll set it up for you, and then you do your thing." Great, cool. So they flew me out. They put me up at the Ritz Carlton in.
Mm.
It was very nice. Awesome wedding. And then the guy Freddie, he's like, "You want to like just join all our our in-depth South Florida groups?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So I'm in those groups and I see the caliber of talent on both the photography aspect and the DJ aspect, even the catering aspect, and the questions they pose and like the issues they have, and I'm just like, yeah, you guys just are
It's a
on a
different-
different world.
Mhm.
But and even the pricing, like I talked to this guy, friend, I'm like, why don't you raise your prices? I'm like, you're doing the same amount of work I'm doing,
Mhm.
and they're stuck in 1990.
Yeah.
Like some of
Baggy
those guys.
suits. With the maitre d vest, the shiny vest.
Yeah, they definitely look like an episode of Miami Vice. But even like just like the cost basis, I'm like, I know the cost of living in Florida is cheaper. It's not much cheaper than
Right.
up here.
Mhm.
I think it's getting much more expensive than there because the population growth and whatnot. But like the photographers, like even like guys that like win WPPI awards, they're like charging $2,000-3,000 bucks.
Mhm.
Yep.
Like, what are you doing?
I can never
Cost of
go.
living's down. You know, I remember.
Not that much, because I even asked him. I was like, I have a pretty decent relationship with this guy. I'm like, dude, like, be honest with me. Like, what is your cost analysis, whatever? He's like, well, like, that's why we moved down here because it's a little cheaper. I'm like, but be honest with me. He's like, yeah, if I were to like put a number on it, like, I probably would charge more. Like, then why don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because the market doesn't call for it. I'm like, so force the market.
There's a lot of money in Miami.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
A
these
lot
guys
of
are
money
doing
over
weddings
there.
at Ritz-Carltons.
Yeah.
Or they're doing at Four Seasons where, like, these people are paying crazy money. And some of these venues are epic.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's the thing. They're throwing all their money at like
Venues.
the venue
Florals,
decor.
yeah.
They don't give a
They're-
shit about the photo.
Right.
but if my thing, if you're doing 30-40 grand's worth of florals and you don't have a photographer to
That's
actually capture that,
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
They don't
it's
care.
nuts
It's a
to me.
They-
Yeah.
But-
Yeah.
At the end of the night, all that's going right in the garbage.
Or the DJ usually takes it because I take one for my wife every time.
I
She's
remember-
I want to take one.
Yeah.
Ben always not allows me to take one.
Because he probably doesn't want you to bring it all the way down here.
Yeah, and then carry it, and we have a lot of bags to carry because the
Some of them are
band,
huge, though.
They are
Oh
big.
no,
yeah.
I make it a point to take one.
Yeah.
I remember
My
I
wife
went
has
to,
fresh
I
flowers.
shot
Yeah.
a wedding in Miami.
Every week.
Every week.
2014 or 15, we had a huge hurricane. Oh no, not hurricane, a huge snowstorm, blizzard that like wiped out from New York all the way down to Florida.
Yep.
Right? We were stuck down in Miami.
Sandy.
No, it wasn't Sandy. It's Hugo, maybe.
Hugo,
Yeah, I think it's hurricane
When?
or the Hugo.
when you were in Maryland?
No. When we went down to Miami to shoot a wedding,
Oh yes.
and we got stranded. Like we caught the last plane out of New Jersey. We made it to the wedding just in time, and we shot the wedding, but we couldn't get
We
home.
got stuck there. Yep.
We got stuck there for a few more days.
You
Wow.
drive back up.
So we were thinking about driving back because I had a wedding the following weekend in New York City. And you know what's funny? That bride just happened to be in Miami that same time. She said, "Hey Ben, why don't we let's carpool? Let's drive up
Oh, did
together,
you?
right?"
Yeah, that bride for our upcoming week, she was stuck there.
She
stuck
wanted to
too.
make sure you were there.
Yeah.
She came looking for you.
Yeah,
man.
I'll drive you up.
She was in Miami too. I was like, "No,
Yeah,
I
so
don't
she
I don't
saw
I don't
the
want to be in a
Facebook
car
chat.
with you
Oh,
for
you have no
18
ride?
hours." In the
I
sun.
know
worry.
that's like such a like intimate setting to be with your client. Like,
Yeah,
that's-
I-
in the car?
I-
And,
yeah,
and then
no.
this is the bride you don't
You know
want to be
what?
stuck in
Speaking
the
of-
car for that long. Yep.
Mm-mm.
All the years we've been doing this, last year Jen dropped me off, and I had to carpool with the group's parents
It's
To
okay.
where? To the wedding?
to the
How long?
to the ceremony. About like 40-minute drive.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
But the groom had space in his car.
That's so funny.
He puts me in his parents' car, and it was like I just felt like
Was it an awkward silence?
it
or-
was.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he was just chit chatting, but I'm just
Yeah.
like, why?
How's the weather, guys?
Yeah.
Like traveling for work. I mean, I think a lot of photographers. I don't know about DJs, but I know a lot of photographers. It's on their bucket list. They want to travel for work, right?
I think it's so much more feasible for you guys because for me, like I got offered a wedding in California, and it was like an amazing winery in Napa,
Sure.
and I wanted to do it. Like I didn't even. I was probably not going to even make any money. I was probably just going to take it as a vacation. Like
Yeah.
whatever I ended up getting paid / the room.
Yep.
I would have brought my wife.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was the hardest thing to figure out logistics in
Mhm.
terms of gear,
Yeah.
in terms of support, because
Yeah.
they wanted a pretty decent production. I was even contemplating flying out maybe one of my assistants and then figuring that out. It never really ended up working out, and that's been one of the biggest hurdles for me is because like I can't bring all
You
my
have to
gear.
source
Yes.
everything.
Yeah,
Yes.
Mhm.
you guys is a different story. You throw one of these think tank
Yeah.
bags with your your
Mhm.
core lenses and you
Yep.
you do your thing.
Yep.
My partner's actually been doing a bunch of destination ones, but they're usually mostly like in Florida. He did one in Nashville. It's a little bit. It
Easier.
seems like it's a little bit easier to source that. And the one in Nashville, I think the venue had everything, and he
That's
just
awesome.
brought his
Oh
deck.
wow.
So
That's
it was pretty
awesome.
cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's cool.
I've gotten offers to go to Europe. They never really panned out. I did a few in Ecuador, which was a lot of fun. It was like friend of a friend of a friend. And
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would totally bucket list item to like do
Just do
something.
it. Just get out of your system, but it's
Yeah.
not as glamorous as you think.
It's stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it's
Very
stressful. Like
stressful,
getting
yep.
there,
Yep.
like
Logistically.
if you
just
miss the
worrying about your
flight, and,
gears.
or like I got well, they try to extort me in DR,
Yeah.
like to like bring in my gear.
Mexico did the same thing. I
You
can't
know,
go.
Yep.
I can't
and
go
so
to Mexico.
you
anymore.
add that stress to that, like
Yeah.
it's just like it's
What
not,
customs was asking for like
Mexico.
Yeah, they're like,
Yep.
hey,
Mm-hmm.
sir, come over here. How many cameras you got? 2.
Yeah.
And then it's like, we need to see your bags. I meant 2 in each bag. How many cameras do you have, sir? 2 in each bag. Open all your bags. 9 cameras came out.
oh, so you lied and they caught you, and that's
I was
why.
like, GoPro doesn't count, sir.
So they saw our rolling bags, obviously.
yeah,
so
they know
he
how
knew.
to spot the
So he
like,
knew.
like the
Yep,
think
he
tank
knew.
rollers.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah.
They know
Yep.
what they
And
are.
that's what happened to me, and I was like,
Well,
you know
it's
what?
also probably because there's a big economy based on that too.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends who've done
We're taking
destination
away work.
weddings, they forego bringing somebody, and they'll hire somebody that the venue recommends. So it's again that whole like
Yeah.
pay to play,
Yep,
nepotism kind of stuff comes into play too.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but it also doesn't help to lie, Ben, to the customs agent. I lied a few times, and I ended up in those back rooms a few times.
I was in the back room. So, I ended up paying $100. So it is what it is.
I mean,
Yeah.
last time I paid, I think $500 to get out
Oh
of.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Get out of the
But
room.
I also had contraband.
That's your
Yeah.
fault.
That was definitely my fault. Slash my grandma's.
Sure.
So she had. So it was the last. I had my second quarter life crisis. I call it. I was 25 and I had just left college again. Yeah, I was like, screw this. I don't want to do this. I'm going hiking. So I was like, I'm going to climb. I'm doing the Inca Trail. And
Machu
I'm climbing 2 volcanoes. I'm out. I'll be back.
Wrong country?
Wrong country.
What
He said Machu Picchu.
Machu Picchu's in Peru. Yeah, so I went to Ecuador. I did two mountains there.
The Andes Mountains?
And then I did the Inca Trail, which is
Andes.
3 days in the Andes Mountains. He's got it right. And then I went to
Was
Machu
that close?
Picchu. Yeah, you were close. So I went by myself, and my last day in Cusco, I was wandering around doing nothing, and then I find this bar. It was called the Museum of Pisco, and Pisco is the national drink of Peru. I walk in there, and I was the only one, and they had just opened for lunch, and their lunch special was like llama. I'm like, I just pet a llama outside, but I'll try it. So I ate llama. And then I got very, very drunk with the owner because he's like, where are you from? We started like shooting the shit, whatever. And I don't know why or how I ended up buying 15 bottles of Pisco. And Pisco is very much like a spirit in terms of like the older it is, the better it is. There's different fusions. There's all kinds of good stuff. And
How'd you bring it back in?
this is where the story gets better. So I'm in Cusco, and I don't know if you know anything about intercountry flights in South America. It's usually those propeller airplanes, and I'm very terrified of those. I don't mind flying. I've jumped out of airplanes, but those propeller planes, like I'm terrified of it. So I think that's why subconsciously I got drunk because my flight was later that day. So he boxes up these bottles and just puts it in my carry-on because I had my bags with me. And he's like, you'll be good. So I get to Ecuador, and of course they like pull me aside. And they're like, what's this? Why are you bringing so much liquor? I'm like, oh, well, like my cousins, I'm just bringing them back some gifts, whatever, blah, blah. They're like, okay, fine. The Ecuadorian airport, I mean, it's not that big.
Mhm.
Even though it's a capital city, it's a well-developed city. The airport is like super tiny.
Mm-hmm.
So I had 2 more days in Ecuador. I was going to a soccer game with my cousins, and my grandmother's like, who's going to pack your bags? I'm like, oh, Grandma, I already packed it. She's like, I'll pack your bags. Okay, Grandma, whatever you want to do. I love you. Go ahead. So I come back from the soccer game. We didn't get in. The tickets were sold out. We're just like grabbing my bags, whatever. So my cousin drives me to the airport. My flight was like at 2 a.m. It was like one of those like red eye things. Running through customs again, and then I get pulled over again. I'm like, what's up? They're like, yeah, so we need to check you. I'm like, what do you mean check me? Go ahead, my bags are open. They're like, no, you need to go in the back room, and we're probably going to have to strip search you. I'm like, okay. So they open up my bags. My grandmother had packed all my clothes in black plastic bags in the shape of bricks.
With white tape.
No, with black tape. So, and they were very neatly stacked. So they thought I was bringing cocaine
Yeah.
bricks to the United States.
So funny.
I cut it
And
open. It's
then
my
they saw the
clothes.
bottles, and they thought around that time frame,
Yeah.
apparently there was a trend of they were liquefying cocaine. and putting it in liquor
Oh
bottles.
no, I gotta pour it out.
Yeah, so they were like trying to open one of them. I'm like, I swear to God, it's not that. My grandmother packed it. She's 85 years old. You
Like
have to
these
understand.
stories, sir.
And then they see my last name. They're like, so are you related to so and so, like Captain so? So I'm like, probably. But
Yeah.
his last name was Serrano. He's like, all right, come on. They come back 20 minutes later. He's like, yeah, you're the captain. He said he's related to you. You can go.
Oh,
I've never met.
Of course, he has a cousin Fernando,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, me primo Fernando.
Yeah. So they're like,
They have
but,
And he
They have a
sees you as the
Fernando.
wrong Fernando.
but there's a $500 fine.
Oh shit.
Oh.
So
For them.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, check, cash, credit card, like
Yeah.
cash.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Sure.
Like, get me back on the plane. I want
Yeah.
to go home. So, are we segueing into what I hate about photographers?
We'll
Yes.
get
Yeah,
there.
we will. Yeah.
I
Wait, I had a
didn't
Not
think
a lot, but I
We
have to.
will.
I do
So-
have
So,
one.
no,
we will.
so I guess what we want to know from a DJ's perspective is, for the business side, giving us an idea of like how you market,
Yeah,
all that good stuff.
for sure. So we're definitely a little less mainstream. We're a little unorthodox in terms of that. Like, we don't really put a lot of money into our marketing, which we are actively pursuing a different avenue. I would say 80% of our business has been referral. Which again goes to the testament of our relationship with our clients, with our vendor partners, with venues, etc. We did dabble in Google Ads for a minute. As you guys probably know, Google Ads is a daunting task. It's like literally a full-time job. At one point or another, a couple years ago, we engaged an agency because funny thing is, remember I said I worked every job under the sun. I did forget one position. I worked for an SEO agency for a month.
Oh.
And I
And
learned
these
a
are all like months short.
yeah.
We're starting to see a trend here.
Listen, man. Like, if I were to write all my jobs on LinkedIn, I would look like a very, very insecure and unstable
see,
human
more
being.
jobs.
I was gonna say we give each
We
you
need
guys
to have a comparison
Yeah.
a
list.
sheet of paper.
Write your list.
Yeah, write a list of all the positions Ben
Yeah.
and I have shared. So obviously, I learned a lot in that month because I was like, all right, maybe I can use this for my business. Maybe, and I was excited to work there because they were like the #1 rated SEO agency by Google in the Northeast, and it was a little like shop in Bayhead, New Jersey. This was right before Sandy happened. That shop was never there after Sandy. 'Cause
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sandy
Yeah.
met
Yeah.
Bayhead met the actual ocean. Anyway, at that one point, I was pretty good at it, but Google just switches their entire I guess you want to say platform, whatever, at their whim. You basically have to constantly either be reading Moz SEO or any of these other bloggers. Like, what's that other guy, Matt something? He's very, very good at that stuff. So we have engaged SEO agencies on time to time because, again, it is a full-time job. It's not something I enjoy doing. There's certain people that are good at it. I just feel like it's tedious, and there's certain things I'd rather delegate. I'm
Yeah.
very much into ownership of my business and owning up a lot of the back end stuff. But that was one of the things that I said, you know what? I think I've reached my limit of knowledge. So let's put some money behind it. So we've dabbled in Instagram ads. I am definitely very curious about what Ben's doing with his Meta ads platform thing. We may be looking into that too. But mostly it's just been word of mouth. And that has led us to where we are now. Christian and I are consistently busy. We're averaging, I would say, company-wide, about 400 events a year, give or take.
That's still like a lot.
Yeah, it is. It's
You
a
said
lot.
you're not doing as many as other people. That's a lot.
Well, for two guys, it's not a lot. Like, if you look at some of the bigger players in our side of the industry, I will not drop many names. But
They're
you know
doing
who-
700 to 800.
Yeah, they're
Oh.
doing 700, 800 events a year, but they also have 10 guys on roster.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Wait, so just you and you?
It's
two?
just Christian and I, and then we have Danny, who's kind of like our third in
wow.
command kind of thing.
Somebody just hired him. One of our
Even a
clients.
worst case
I thought he had a
scenario,
whole-
even a worst case scenario, you guys are doing about 100 a year each.
Yes, yeah.
Oh
So
my
it's
God.
become it's becoming a little unsustainable in terms of not only time wise, but his life has changed a little bit. He's married, he has a kid. I'm
Yeah.
married now. I definitely want to be spending a little bit more time with my wife and her niece and nephew. I
got
have two
you.
dogs, so
Yeah, we have two
Yeah.
dogs too. That's all
yeah,
we
so you know how it goes. I just think it's definitely unsustainable. So we're trying to change our model. But we've also developed a relationship with several DJs who are like, they want to work for us. They're
Yeah.
like, we like what you do. We love your reputation. You guys are fun. Seems like you're good bosses. We'd love to work with you.
Yeah.
We just don't have the work to give them, because people, when they inquire either on the website, phone number, or social media channels, they're like, we saw Fernando, we saw Christian, we were recommended to Christian, we were recommended to Fernando. It's not like, we heard about this company because they put a billboard on the highway and that's
I
what's
wonder
that.
which one you're talking about.
I wonder too. I'm not knocking them. I love their
But do you
business
think they
model.
put
Don't
trust?
have a wedding.
Have a Blanc Noir wedding.
Yeah. So that's actually a good tagline. I'm going to copy it.
Don't you think put trust in the fact that when we do associates, like Ben's and associates?
Yeah.
I think they'll put trust in the fact that it's
Yeah.
still you guys.
This is my
but
associate.
This
He's
is who
just
I
as
trust
good.
to send out.
So here's the
or it's
biggest.
hard to let go because that was for
No,
us.
it's definitely more on my end. Christian has been pushing for me to let go of the reins more and more. I will full credit to him. He's been a lot more open minded in expanding and growing, and that I've been a little bit more reserved. Again, more because of, I guess you want to call me a control freak. Yes, I am very very much a control freak. Not in a bad way. Sometimes.
It's your baby.
But
It's your baby.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, my co-host and my wife will tell you, that I'm a little OCD with a lot of things, right? And having an associate team, it was a little nerve-wracking because I do like to micromanage a little bit from time to time, right? So I would say that was probably one of the biggest hurdles I had to overcome. Yeah. Just let go just a little bit.
But I think the biggest hurdle for us is you guys have the ability to have something to show clients. Like it's a tangible, visible thing. It's their portfolio.
Yeah.
Whether it's a videographer or a photographer, like Steven, I know he works for you. You can show, okay, so this is Steven's work from Pearl Paper, right? For us, like, oh yeah, this is Danny. This is his photos. This is his bio. This is his mix. It's very difficult for somebody to make that decision. And that's always been the feedback whenever we were trying to bring other people into the mix. They're like, he was nice, but he's not you. And that whole trust factor, I think it's more of an attachment from the client side of things. They're like, no, it's only the two of you or nobody else.
Yeah.
Because they're not able to visualize the performance of a DJ. So that has been one of my biggest hurdles.
That's the problem we had. And part of that is because we're branded for the two of us.
Yeah.
And they expect us there. So when we tried using associates, they had a product and an experience to compare. In the past,
There were referrals from friends.
Yeah, so they had an experience to compare their experience to, and that's when it went a little downhill for us. But probably creating a new brand will probably be the route that will probably help.
Even a lower
for
price
you
point.
guys, yeah.
Yeah, even a lower price point, I don't know if that's going to work.
Yeah,
It's a different
so
brand.
some of our competitors are actually doing that. I brought up the idea to Christian. The problem with that is, again, it's the whole dilution of the brand. That has been a big concern for the both of us. I brought it up more because we were turning away a lot of work at one point or another.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because we wanted to. It's just, the price point that these people were working with was definitely lower than what we had. But most of them, like I was mentioning before, it was all referrals. It wasn't like we were actively searching for new clientele and whatever came. So a lot of these people are like, well, like we were recommended to you, so we would only want you. And when we pitched the idea of a couple other guys, they're like, yeah, same thing. Like they were expecting you to. And if you tell them that it's not happening, they may get sour and just go elsewhere because they don't feel like, maybe you're not invested in them or something like that. Which I think is silly because, or not as good. So that is honestly my biggest hurdle, is to sort of maybe change that mindset with the client base. So that's something that we're going to be actively working on in the next couple of months, because Danny is definitely ready to be sort of, if you want to say, unleashed. He's got enough experience. He's a great DJ, fun guy, good personality, and he's hungry. Who
did we say? Someone just booked him, right?
Yeah, somebody we met.
He has weddings booked, right?
Yes, he has a handful of weddings.
Yeah, I think we have one.
Somebody we
Yeah,
met with.
We probably
said his
pitched
name,
you
and
guys.
we were like, we're confused.
Yeah, we pitched you guys a lot because a lot of people that have been asking us, especially like the Latino clientele we've been getting. Part of our conversation is always like, do you need somebody bilingual? The encompassing answer is we're definitely open to trying different things this year. But the majority of our work, our leads, is referrals. We do have a really strong connection with a handful of vendors that consistently give us work, and we try to return the favor as much as possible. We are recommended at a number of venues. That also helps a great deal. And I think it also gives us a little bit more of a, I guess you want to say like a different standing because like, oh, well, the venue recommends you.
Yeah.
And it's not one of those pay to play situations.
Mhm.
You know, a lot of venues have that
Yeah, oh, yeah.
scenario. And hey, listen, there's certain venues where I've gone up to them. I'm like, what is it going to take?
Yeah.
Well, like,
Because I
money.
look at it as more as of an opportunity / cost basis / investment basis.
Mhm.
Like there's a handful of venues that we've been actively trying to get in there because A, we like working there. B, it is very lucrative in terms of we know the clientele is definitely going to have a certain investment point, but ultimately also it would create a different market for us. But you know, some of these venues they're
They
very
want the
set in their
money.
ways.
Yeah.
They
Some
want
of
the
those
money.
vendors been there like 20, 30 years. Like,
Yeah, some of them I don't understand too, and this brings back to this whole like changing our I guess our marketing a little bit, our targeting. Because the feedback from some clients in the last couple of months has been like, you know how hard it is to find a responsive, attentive, well-spoken, and moderately priced DJ who actually knows what they're doing.
Mhm.
And the aspect of the bilingual thing has been like the biggest, I guess you want to say,
Amazing.
light bulb moment
Mm.
where I've talked to her. I'm like, have you been noticing a lot of this? I'm like, yeah, same thing. So he's got some other ideas that I'm like, yeah, I'm fully on board, but I don't think the market's there yet overall. But we definitely are looking way ahead. I am definitely seeing a big shift in demographics in terms of the expenditure points.
Mhm.
I dabble in those bridal groups. My
Are
wife's
you,
in
you
them.
sneak. Oh, she's still in there. Yo,
Yeah.
So I'm in there through my sister's Facebook account.
Yeah.
I see your wife still commenting on people's stuff.
Yeah.
Because I guess the picture of you guys is the thing. I was like, oh, she's still active.
Yeah. Well, she's also
But then
active
she
now.
can also like push her business
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
there
so
too.
she's been shamelessly
She's
plugging
like, I'm not
away.
leaving.
And listen, I saw other people doing it, and I was like,
Right.
screw it. If
Yeah.
they're doing it, because there's got to be like at least 10 groups. Only 2 of them are clean.
non-vendors. Yeah, non-vendors.
They're clean.
Yeah.
The main one,
New Jersey Brides.
yeah, that one is
Crazy.
slowly turning.
Yeah, I'll go in there. I see a photographer comment. I was like,
Because
and you're
so
a man. How'd you get in
crazy.
here?
Yeah.
You're not even
so
a
the
bride.
thing is, Molly, who was the editor at NJ Bride, she left.
Oh.
And that, so when
That
she
one's
was
clean.
the moderator at the New Jersey private bridal group, it was almost like going to Soho House in New York. Like you need to be accepted.
Yeah.
And she would dive into your profile, and if she got the slightest hint of
You're a vendor.
a vendor,
Yeah.
you weren't allowed in. So I actually got
use
in
my
there
sister's
because
Facebook account.
I got in there because we were actively looking for photographers.
Yeah.
And you would think a DJ that's been doing weddings for 20 years, he knows everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody that I pitched to my wife, she's like, they're either great. We've hung out with them. It's just not my style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And she was, I call her the creative design officer in the household. She was obviously the creative design officer with the wedding too.
How was what? I mean, you told us already about wedding planning, but let's talk about that
Yeah,
again.
let's
How
definitely
was
talk about that.
how
Being
was
there
that
four
as a-
photographers here?
as a
yeah.
DJ?
So the hardest part for me was picking vendors.
Yeah.
Because, and this is where it segues into the things I don't understand about photographers.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, we shared an office with a photographer, Tim from Authentic Photo. He was our office partner for 7 years. Julie liked his style, but she wasn't in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
He shot her best friend's wedding. He's like a million people that there's like in our inner circle, he did their wedding. So she's like, I love him, but not for me.
Yeah. But how long did you like start planning out from the
Yeah.
wedding?
So that was the one thing that was, I
'Cause
guess
you know
you want to say
better.
like a detriment. So we got engaged pretty long ago. I proposed in
I remember.
2016. And then the first thing I told her was, listen, obviously, like I put a ring on your finger, but we're buying a house first.
Mm-hmm.
And she obviously was not keen on the idea. Her dad was my biggest cheerleader. He's like, no, he's being smart. Like,
Mhm.
You guys have been together for, at that point, was 6.5 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Before you got engaged?
Yeah.
Oh,
We've been
wow.
together 13 years.
And then you got married recently, no?
Yeah. Got married, what's the date? Yeah, 5 months ago.
So,
Yeah.
hold on.
So I'll tell you the whole
Yeah.
trajectory because
It's
it
a
was
very long engagement.
yeah, very long engagement. So I proposed, we did, and we moved in together. And then she was like, I don't know. I'm like, listen, trust me, like if you know that like I will never lead you the wrong way, and the fact that her dad was also very much into the Fernando's thinking straight here, and he's actively looking for the better opportunities here. Because I told her, I was like, listen, a wedding is at that 2016, the average expenditure was what, 50,000. And as much as I love my wife, she loves the finer things in life, and I am
You
very
definitely would have
bougie.
saved if you would have got married years ago. Though.
Well, I also wasn't bringing that kind of money into.
in,
Neither was she. And my whole thing was like everything was tied into the house aspect. You know, as an immigrant, the first thing you're told is like the American dream is starts with buying a home.
Yep.
And you know that's why like my mom was the first one buying a house, then my sisters bought a house, and I was like, well, I'm the only boy here, so the responsibility is going to fall on me to make these 3 women proud and do what I got to do. But it was always a big thing for me was like I need to buy a home. Whatever, if either it's by myself or with Julie or whatever it ends up being. So we started looking for houses, and she finally was like, you know what? Okay, fine, we'll go along with this. So we bought a house at the end of 2018, and we bought the ugliest house ever. Not really ever, but like the house was in shambles. So it took us 6 months to renovate. My in-laws have a 2-family. They let us live downstairs, which was amazing.
Awesome.
And we had a lot of help in terms of manual labor. I am now a non-licensed electrician, non-licensed plumber.
So you're Latino.
I can frame. I don't like doing sheetrock. I will definitely pay somebody.
That's
to
an
do
art
that.
right there.
And I am the best painter that money can't buy. Because I won't do it for anybody else.
Nope.
And then COVID happened. We weren't really actively planning a wedding right before COVID happened. We were shooting the idea around like, all right, let's start looking at venues. Since we're one of the recommended vendors at Landmark, I was like, we have 14 venues to choose from. And I know they all will hook us up. I took her to 12 of them, and she's like, they're great, but you're here all the time. So you want to
It's
have
not
like,
as special. Yeah. I
she's
can
like,
see
it's
that.
not going to be special for you. I'm like, well, it's not really about me.
This is not.
You prefer it all
It's
of
not
that?
expensive enough.
In all honesty, their paid subscription, I think it's worth it.
It's $2,000. Well, you know what? It's
Not bad.
$2,000
I was
for
paying
2.
fucking $7,000 for the knot. Like,
Yeah.
That is extortion.
Yes.
And Christian finally made me see the light, and we stopped doing it.
Oh yeah.
We were
worked.
paying
It worked.
$7,500 a year.
It worked for a
It
little
wasn't
while,
working for us.
Yeah,
That was
It
the
stopped.
thing.
It stopped.
By the way,
Once you reach a certain price
You know
point,
what,
it's like
you know what was the end of it for me?
they
For
have
me,
the
it was
volume
just
ability though.
the quality of the leads was just horrendous the last 2 years.
Yeah.
It wasn't even tire kickers. It was just like there was no conversation.
Mhm.
There wasn't even the opportunity to chat with them.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
You don't have to cut this part out because I think that's one of the talking points.
Yeah,
about
yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I think the nod is highway robbery.
Mhm.
We first cut out Wedding Wire because we noticed that there was and we were they have like 3 tiers. We were the first tier. Like we were Spotlight, they called it.
Mhm.
So it was
First page.
first page banner ads. We even ran additional banner ads. So anytime you would go to nj.com, you would see our ad over there. Or you know how like you see B&H ads on nj.com?
Yeah,
Same
yeah.
thing. And we started noticing a huge drop off in the quality of leads. It either led to no conversations or it was more like send me your price list, otherwise I'm not
I'll
talking
talk
to you.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not been our business model at all because we don't have packages. Like we don't do packages. I don't do like here, like, your minimum spend is X, Y, and Z. I know other guys do that. We try to talk to clients and create more of a bespoke experience by figuring out what they need, what the venue needs, and what they like. Because not everybody likes the flashy color lights and the sparklers and clouds. Like it, or sometimes like I tell them flat out, I'm like, it's just not gonna look good. Like you're not gonna do clouds in the barn at Perona Farms. It just looks weird.
Yeah.
It's not the vibe.
No.
Oh my
Right?
God, you're right.
Right? You could never see that
There's
there.
a fire here.
Mind you, I've done it a handful of times.
Oh, yeah?
And it looks weird to me.
Yeah.
But our mantra is like what the client wants.
Yeah.
we'll just
But it's
make
good that
it
you're not like saying, oh, like to everyone, yeah, you need the cloud.
Right. No.
You have to
I
have
feel
them.
like again, like that dirty car salesman.
Yeah.
I hate that feeling. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
By the way, you have to turn the AC off when you run the clouds, right?
Yes.
We saw this. We were at Roundhouse and Beacon, right? And it was a summer wedding. The DJ's like, "Yo, you got to cut the AC, or else this is not going to work." And they're like,
did.
"It's hot here. It's hot.
Yeah, we're not cutting
You
the
have
AC."
We're not cutting the AC." So they're like, "Okay,
It's not gonna
whatever."
work.
So anyway, they did it. And yeah, you remember when Dave Chappelle was doing the Prince
Yeah.
Playing
Right.
basketball.
Before-
Yeah.
coming out of the fog.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you got the couple coming out of the fog. Like, it's just the whole place.
Yeah, it went, and then
Yeah.
the whole place is just like you want clouds, you got it. Like the whole room is a cloud.
Well, it's usually
They're like shadows.
that's what happens. Or if let's say the vents are directly over the dance floor, it'll never reach its
Reach the
final
couple.
destination.
Yeah. And
It'll just like
the
you see it's like
gap,
coming in
just
and then
then
kicks right back out.
We saw that happen at Tides. Tides is a huge dance floor.
yeah.
And the cloud was like on the other side.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, and I'm shooting from the top of the balcony. And I
can't
was like,
see shit.
this looks so bad.
Yeah.
Like,
So
they need to move.
that room I use 2 machines.
Yeah.
He's always like, come on, don't make. I'm like, but dude, you know how this works. He's like, oh, it takes forever to the AC to kick back on. I'm like, you want to explain to the client why the clouds didn't work?
Oh my god.
Because it's literally, and it's part of my clauses in my contract, especially the special effects aspect of it. If the venue doesn't cooperate,
Right.
or last minute decides to say we're not allowed to do it anymore, we're not liable for it.
Yep.
Because a lot of places are starting to do that again. Because there's always, there's people that
Somebody
play
ruined
nice
it,
in the
yeah.
sand,
Yeah.
and there's people that just do stupid things.
The best mishap that we've seen. It wasn't with the clouds. It was the
With
Sparklers?
the snow.
The snow.
Oh, I hate
shit.
that.
What happened with the snow?
Somebody fell.
No.
Moses did a wedding.
I'll find the video. I'll find it.
I
But
guess it wasn't like
they put it on the max setting.
so. It just came like as clumps, and it
Oh.
just covered the bride and groom.
So they're dancing,
And
and
it's clumps.
it looks like a foam party.
Yeah,
like,
bubble bath.
and they don't stop. Like they just keep dancing, and then Moses. This video, you got to see this video.
You need to post that
Yeah.
attached to this episode,
It's
please.
fucking crazy.
That is so funny.
There's all
Yeah.
these like tricks and things that you guys have up your sleeves that if they go wrong, they're just great photo moments.
Yeah. We were talking about how much I hate the knot.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm assuming you and your wife didn't use a knot to plan your wedding.
We did not.
All right.
So she built. So my wife is very, very detail oriented. So she actually built a custom site.
Nice.
And
But you didn't switch for your vendors that way, is what I'm saying.
no. So obviously I pitched my connections first, like the people I like working with, and the people that I know was somewhat in her I guess you want to say like vision, because she worked for Glamour magazine. That'll tell you enough. She knows what she wants in terms of visuals and look. So I was more of the but this
Typical
is
girl.
certain things that like no, like, so I had a lot of say in the production value, and I'm the one that found the venue and pitched it to her and told her that we'll scrape everything we can to make it happen, because once she saw the price, she's like, how is this going to happen? I'm like, don't worry about it.
Did she
And
fall in love with it when she saw it?
so the story of Nadarar, shout out to Nadarar. I love that
It's a
space.
beautiful place.
Yeah.
So I never knew about this place.
So you had never worked there before?
So I did right before the wedding.
Oh.
So never knew about it. I don't know a lot about Somerset County other than like going to Severn Mill and like eating pizza.
Mm-hmm.
I got a random inquiry for an after party DJ, and they're like, the mansion at Nadarar. I'm like, I Google, I'm like, whoa, that's like right up my, like, I'm very into like brick facades, like Center Hall Colonials. That's the house we have. Once I saw this place, I was like, whoa, like, where is this? Why have I never been there before? And at this point, I was doing weddings for almost 17 years, and I've never heard of this place before.
Crazy.
It was kind of weird, right?
Mhm.
So the girl, she hits me up and she's like, hey, my parents paid for a band, but we're going to scrape together money and do an after party at the venue. Would you be interested in just doing the after party? I'm like, sure, whatever.
Mhm.
And then they're like, we want sparklers, we want lights. I'm like, for an hour?
Sure. Okay.
Whatever. I send them the proposal. They're like, okay.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
So I pull up I left my house like at 9:30 at night, which is weird.
Yeah.
Right?
You're going to work.
Yeah.
Going to work at 9:30. I pull up
work
to
at
this
a strip
space
club.
and like, you guys know the
About
driveway to
to.
that place.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
Yeah.
Place is nice.
Gorgeous. Yep.
I was like, this.
Especially from outside.
It takes
yeah.
a lot for me to like not say, like speak about a lot of
I
stuff.
do gotta
Yeah.
say that hotel killed the some of the view there.
Yes,
We will
yes,
get
yes,
to that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I pulled up to it, and I talked. Everybody in the kitchen was so nice. Like, oh, you're the DJ. Welcome. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
this is great. Really good experience. They tell me where to set up, and then I peek into the ballroom. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Were you actively planning the wedding at this point or no?
No.
No, okay.
No. So kinda. We were like in the middle of looking at places. At that point, I had taken it to half the landmark venues. So yeah, I did the party. I'm sending her photos. She's like, it's cool. It's like she didn't look at the photos. I know she didn't. She's probably gonna kill me for saying this because she'll watch this later. And then I did another quick event there. It was just more of like a walkthrough. And then we had a family friend who got married at 90 Acres, which is the restaurant attached to Natterar. And at that point, I was like, Joel, like you're kind of making me look like a fool that you've had a ring on your finger. I built you the house of your dreams.
Pick the venue.
Can I get the tax benefits of being married to you at this point, and perhaps some health insurance?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I was paying for my own through a portal, but I'm like, you have a full-time job. Like,
I don't want to play anymore.
help a brother out. She's like, okay. I think her main concern was like, A, finding a place, B, the money aspect. She didn't know that I had been stashing money away for years.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to go look at 90 Acres. Obviously, she pulls out. She's like, whoa, this place is sick. I'm like, yeah. But we're not going there. We're going over there. So we pull up to 90 Acres. We met with the general manager. And the place is cool. But it wasn't what we had envisioned in terms of like a party. It was definitely more gravitating towards like if somebody wants to have a brunch style wedding. They would only do daytime. They have to do a full buyout. We're big into, I don't call ourselves foodies because we're not blogging everything we eat. We just like to eat a lot.
Yeah.
We like to enjoy trying new restaurants, new cuisine. So that was like, I guess you want to say one of the foundations or like the non-negotiables. Like it has to be really good food. And 90 Acres is probably one of the best restaurants in New Jersey. So
do they cook for Natterar?
Technically,
Do they have a separate kitchen?
Well, they have separate kitchens because it's completely different
buildings.
But not the same. Is it like the same chef?
Yeah,
same quality
it's the
food?
same culinary team.
Okay.
Especially like the head chef manages both menus,
Okay.
and it's a farm to table restaurant. So
nice.
a lot of their ingredients are sourced literally right on site,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not your traditional like chicken franchise, Chateaubriand. Like it wasn't that, and I definitely didn't want that experience. Like if I'm gonna do this,
eat a vendor meal at your wedding.
yeah, if I'm gonna do this and spend the money that I would have bought a classic car on this wedding, might as well just go all out. And that's always been my I guess you want to say my MO. So yeah, once we talked and we left, we were just kind of hanging out in the front. I was like, George, just like, yeah, this isn't for me. Like the whole limitations on what we can and can't do, and the fact that it would have to be a daytime thing.
Mm-hmm.
And our wedding was supposed to be like 60 people, very intimate.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't going to be like this whole shebang, typical thing that I do for a living. And then I was like, indulge me and walk with me up the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, she must have already done some sort of research because she like pulls my hands like, no. I'm like, why? No. I'm like, is it the money aspect? She's like, I think so. I'm like, just walk in here.
She didn't want to fall in love with it.
Right. She walks into the foyer and starts crying.
Aww.
Then she walks into like the hallways. We get the full grand tour. She walks into the ballroom and I just looked at her. I was like, all right,
Is it?
that's it.
Sometimes you know.
Sometimes you know.
And
Yeah.
this was how many months in advance of the wedding?
9.
Okay, so you did plan pretty quickly.
Yeah. So
That's why your vendors were not available.
Well, that was definitely one of the main, I guess you want to say, reasons why we picked the place or were able to get married there is because I told her, I'm like, we're going to have to do it an off-peak date, like a Thursday. For reason number one, I work weekends.
Correct.
Half of our guest list is going to be
BD vendors.
vendors.
Yeah.
And see, it's way cheaper.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, and I can and we can go all out with vendors and the different tiers of options in terms of food. And she agreed to it.
Nice.
She was like, okay.
That makes a lot of sense.
Well, that and also I was like, listen, you also got to understand, like a lot of our guests are going to be coming out of town. Like the majority of my family was still living in Ecuador at that time. Some of her family lives in Cali. Some people live out of state.
Was this still just the 60-person wedding?
No, at that point, it was
Not anymore.
it was slowly creeping up. But the idea was always to kind of keep it intimate.
Mm-hmm.
And she agreed to it. So we started, put pedal to the metal. So I started pitching her photographers, and it just wasn't working out. So then we decided to start interviewing people I had never worked with in my life.
Yeah, this is an interesting part. Can you tell me a little bit about this at the summit
Yes.
and the kind of
I know
discovery
I'm
calls
dragging
you
on.
had?
We start interviewing these people, and
These are big names too in our market.
yes, huge names, especially on the video side of things. And it was like, that saying, "Don't meet your heroes."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was definitely it was.
It's a
rather
wake up call almost, like a wake up call. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think it was wake up call. I thought it was just like it was honestly like one of the biggest disappointments
Disappointing, yeah.
I could have ever had in terms of that portion of my life. Like planning a wedding was obviously a big deal to her, but it was a big deal to me too. I'm not your traditional groom. Like my life revolves around weddings. So and I wanted to have a pretty awesome party.
Mhm.
So,
And you wanted the experience that you give people.
right, exactly, and I also wanted to work with people that I had admired their work for a really long time. Some of them I've been following them since I started. Like I would run into them at 1 or 2 weddings, and then I would see the videos. They would tag us either on Vimeo or whatever. This was like pre-Instagram. So like some of these vendors I was following way before that.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of these photographers, like, listen, I get it. Sometimes like creatives are a little interesting in
Yes.
terms of like their
Yes.
approach to a lot of things. Not everybody would do what I do in terms of like proper meeting space, the lighting, the camera. Like I remember I hit him up once we started gravitating more towards the virtual aspect. I hit up Ben. I was like, "What camera are you using for your lives? It looks amazing." He's like, "Oh, it's like a shitty little Nikon."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Are you putting ring lights?" He's like, "Yeah." So he sends me perfect. I bought the Canon version of it because all I have is Canons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna convert right away. And like one chick we met, she like took the phone call in a drive-through.
Yeah, you told me that one. That was the best one.
Which drive-through?
I believe it was a Starbucks.
Was the Chick-fil-A at least?
No, it was not Chick-fil-A. And in my head, like like you said, I would set
Wait,
up the
she
Google.
was this was virtual? Like she was on.
Yes.
That's
Oh my
terrible.
god.
So you know when I'm sure you guys agree, like you put your
Terrible.
availability calendar, right?
yeah,
you
and I have to be on my desk on my computer at home.
And whether or not
Professional.
you're working from home or not, like you should have like this segmented point in a room in a time where like, okay, if I have kids, I have pets, they got to go out of the room, and I have to focus on this.
Yep.
That's what we do.
So she took the phone call in the drive-through, and Julie would be in the second floor in her office. I'd be in my office. I didn't want to be like next to her like this because she was like, I'm comfortable up here. I don't want to move. All right, cool, whatever. 3 people on the screen. And then this chick like turns on her camera and it was like,
Can I get a macchiato, please?
can I get a grande? Oh, hey guys. And
Oh
I
my
unfortunately don't have a good poker face.
Yeah.
Julie said I should have screen recorded every single phone call.
Oh my
Because
god.
she's like, I think you would have probably gone viral if you did a reel
Oh,
of your faces of shock and dismay and disgust. Needless to say, that phone call lasted 10 minutes.
Wow.
Wow.
Then
Did you
moving
book it?
on. What's that?
Did you book it?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah,
What?
I booked a way not to call her ever again.
Yeah, we didn't book her.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely did not book her.
No.
So then there was another one where the chick was very eloquent, very sweet in email. We had an original phone call. She didn't get on video at first. She sounded really nice, very like chill, laid back. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't remember her name, to be honest with you. And then I was like, listen, I would love to talk to you in detail. Can we set up a video call so we can just ask a bunch of questions? Maybe you can share your screen because I had never worked with her. Julie found her through the magic of Pinterest and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Because at this point we were running a little dry in terms of the style she was looking for.
Mhm.
So all right, cool. We'll take the meeting. Homegirl takes the meeting. She's on the couch. She's like, FYI, guys, if my kids wake up, I'm gonna have to hang up.
Holy shit.
So the face that you're seeing here, I was just like,
I'm like, well, that's good because my kid just woke up too.
Yeah, bye.
I gotta go.
so
Goodbye.
I didn't say a word. Julie was kind of like very gracious and asked a few questions. And then I was like, hey guys, sorry, I'm going to have to leave. Sorry, something came up and I just got out of the frame and I walked
Really?
away. Yeah, I didn't.
Wow.
I
Yeah,
think
you had
this
no
is
patience
utterly
for it.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, and I'm texting her through the side. I'm like, hang up now.
Yeah.
And I'm calling her from last time. I'm like, Julie, I need you. Stella got out of the house.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. I remember
No, I
exactly
remember you
what
said
happened.
specifically you didn't let anybody know who you were.
Yes. So
or
that
that
was
you
a
were
big
in the wedding
thing.
industry.
Yeah.
No,
So
not
you-
even the venue. The venue didn't
Yeah.
find out I was a wedding DJ until I signed the contract.
Yeah.
And I made it a point because I guess it was more of I wanted to see how they would treat a wedding vendor.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I've done weddings for wedding vendors, and I personally feel like I usually go a little bit more. above and
Yes.
beyond.
It's actually more stressful too.
Well, yeah,
make sure
that-
that you're-
pressure.
Yeah. When I shoot
100%.
photographers, it's a lot. Very
Oh, yeah,
stressful.
yeah.
When I
Do you
shoot
know
photographers.
Catalina Fragoso?
I know
Sounds
who she
familiar.
is. We
Yeah.
follow
So
each
I
other.
did her wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was the most nervous at that wedding ever.
Mm.
It was my first wedding, like big time back in the ballroom wedding after COVID. We had done a bunch of outdoor stuff, those makeshift tent ones, because clients just didn't want to wait any longer. They were like under third or fourth
Cancellation.
cancellation or changing the date. She was like, nope, it's happening, whatever. I don't care. They were also just tired of it. They had postponed at least for that.
Yeah.
I honestly remember being the most nervous ever at that wedding. to the point where like I remember shaking during intros, and that usually doesn't happen to me. Like I still get nervous doing intros and whatnot, especially if I know people there. This is kind of like, oh, my friends are here. But yeah, I always feel like I try to go a little bit above and beyond. Not that I don't do that for every client, but I'm sure you guys would agree that like, the pressure is there, but
Definitely.
also like you kind of want to give a little bit more because they could have picked anybody, but they picked you.
So what was your mindset of being like, I'm not going to tell them that I am a wedding
I
vendor?
think I wanted to figure out how they normally do their sales tactics.
Was it like research for yourself as well?
Kind of, maybe.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned that, subconsciously, I think I was trying to figure out how to pivot my meeting times to virtual. So right around that point, we were making the very difficult decision of closing our storefront. We paid rent for 18 months and we saw one client there.
Wow.
The rent wasn't a lot. And yes, it was a write-off, but it was just, it was tough to sort of kind of close that chapter because our exponential growth is definitely owed to the fact that we had a storefront. Quickly fast forwarding to this. So yeah, I guess maybe I wanted to see how they would handle it. But it was more just, I want to see how you are without knowing like who am I and all that stuff. Who am I should say. The next one, this chick picks up, I forget her name. She was out of Philly and she answers the phone and you know how like Ben's been like super sick. This chick was dying.
Yeah.
I'm dying right now.
But you're not coughing. You're not literally like coughing up.
This is the first time he hasn't coughed on this show for a long time.
Yeah, no, I know. The last episode you were like dying off to the side. Yeah, this chick is sitting on her couch and just like tissue in hand. You can see she's like vividly ill. And I literally said, I'm like, do you want to reschedule? Because I feel really bad. Like it doesn't seem like you're in good shape. No, it's fine. I was like, I can't be serious. And then another one, some of the biggest issues I had with videographers was I get everybody has their own terms and their own way of doing business, especially when it comes to like raw footage and editing and all that other stuff. I wasn't really asking for a lot. I think I wasn't. But the biggest one, and I won't name the names because they're big. A lot of people think that they're like the cream of the creme de la creme, cream of the crop kind of thing. For a video, I was asking this person, like, have you ever shot at net or? Yeah, a long time ago. Cool. Do you have any current footage that I would love to see? She's like, you know what? Like, I'm not going to go on my drives and look for your stuff. Whatever's on my site, whatever's on my socials, whatever's on my Vimeo, you can just take it or leave it. Literally in those words.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And in my head, I'm like, and mind you, this chick was like $9,000.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Which it was
Take
way
the
out
effort,
of my
man.
max budget. But I was so in love with this work that they produce that I was willing to spend that much.
I mean, we know who shot your wedding, but how did the vendors that you chose win out above everybody else?
So Sam did our engagement photos. At least I was like, can you at least do our engagement photos? Because Julie had this idea of, which is becoming a big trend now, the whole newspaper at the ceremony thing. She came up with it a long time ago. She had shown me stuff like years ago. She's like, what do you think about that? I'm like, that's cool. I didn't think much of it. Now that I look at it and everybody's doing it, I'm like, yeah, figures Julie was kind of like the trendsetter on that. That's how she is.
I offered to do like an 80s retro one with you where you would go like do the wheelbarrow or something like that.
Yeah. That's more like
That's
40s, like Depression
That's how you're
era.
gonna get hired.
That's not her style.
Do you have a wheelbarrow here so we can
I do.
do it?
I do. Have a wheelbarrow.
Even better.
No. But either you or your wife have the wheelbarrow.
You have to lift her up by her legs and she has to walk
It
on
would
chains.
probably be me wheelbarrowing her. Can we get the straw hats going? So
sombreros.
Sam was like, listen, I feel really bad. I was like, well, listen, can you recommend anybody that's like in your
That's so
wheelhouse?
weird that you found him through her when he's the other main Staten Island guy.
As soon as I heard his accent, I'm like, oh, he's
Staten Island, yep.
And
that's
my
Staten
experience with
Island.
Staten Island people, whether they're wedding based or not,
I'm originally from Staten
is
Island.
okay. But you don't sound like it. You don't.
Brooklyn to Staten Island.
You're more Brooklyn. Let's be
Thank
honest.
you.
Yeah.
I only know two Staten Islanders. It's Jen and James. That's it.
Yeah.
And they're not really Staten Island.
Yeah.
They're not
He's a
from
I
there.
don't consider.
Queens.
I wouldn't consider you
Thank
a Staten
you.
Island
Yeah.
person. Not knocking Staten Island whatsoever.
We do it on the podcast all the time. It's fine.
Okay. Well, I'm not, so cut me out. I've had mixed experiences, mostly bad. There's a reason why I don't take gigs in Staten Island.
Yeah.
We at that point we had interviewed about 9 photographers.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Which is asinine. Let's be honest. It's absurd.
Average is 5.
Yeah, I always tell couples I think you should interview 3 to 4 per vendor category because otherwise it's gonna get
overwhelming.
and they're all gonna be telling you the same exact thing. So especially DJs, like we all have sparkler lights, photos, whatever. It's more about personality and style. So I ended the call. Julie comes down the stairs. She's like, "I love him." I'm like,
Perfect.
"Me too. He was cool." I was like, "I think I can get along with him just fine."
Nice.
So he sent the pricing.
Who is this?
Mike
Gloria.
Photography. Shout out, Mike.
What about video?
So then we get to the video part. So that was I think the hardest part because working as a DJ and we even had our own video department, not selling to clients, like we filmed our own gigs and sharing the office with Authentic Photo and one of my really good friends in the industry / friends outside the industry, Ivan from Breathe Artistic. I had an idea of what we wanted and I had an idea of what we didn't want because we've worked with certain companies where like they give us the same day edit and we watch it and we're like,
It's garbage.
God damn, you're so harsh. I say garbage. It was just not my style.
Trash.
Yeah.
I'm being very politically correct today. No, it was hot garbage. The audio would be blown out, wrong formats, and then they start blaming me for it. Anyway, so we start Instagram, Pinterest searches again. I go on Vimeo and just try to figure out what we want. And out of nowhere, Julie sends me this video of this couple. I don't know if you ever heard of the Neskis. They were mostly a destination of husband and wife videography team. But they kind of got tired of the traveling all over the place. He used to be like in a band, I think.
Oh, they're in Jersey?
No, they're in Philly.
Okay.
So
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough. So they settle down, and then Julie sends me their Vimeo. I start looking at it. I hook it up to my screen in my office. I'm like, this is really nice. And I start following on Instagram. I'm like, I like their behind the scenes content. They look like a lot of fun. Then I start seeing their full edits. I'm like, oh yeah, this is definitely what we were envisioning. And I was like, set up a phone call. So we set up the phone call. Again, the nicest people, super awesome conversation. Very, very informative, but also like it was fun. It was kind of like this kind of conversation. Like
that's what you were looking for in your vendors. People they'll have fun with.
Not everyone wants that though.
Yep.
Yeah, they just want the dollar sign.
Straight to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, that's there's a different.
Yep. That's
There's
not
an
my
ask for every
client.
chair.
Yep.
Yeah, that's for every chair. I always think that as a wedding vendor, you should be thinking about just having a very laid back conversation with clients.
I mean, that is if that's your ideal client. Like,
I just think overall, because how are you going to work with these people for
10 hours.
10 hours.
Not only 10 hours,
All
but
day.
everything subsequent before and after, especially if you're a photographer and you're doing their engagement photos. Me as a DJ, like, there's clients where like we take a retainer and then I don't see them for a year.
Yeah.
And then there's clients where like we end up having a beer or two and like meeting and hanging out and whatever prior to their wedding and after. I just think more and more people are appreciating the fact that there's actual real conversations rather than just like, you called me, you like my photos, here's my contract. I'll see you later.
Yeah. Some people want that transactional.
For sure. But I'm reiterating.
I don't want those people.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I don't want to
either.
work
I'm
with
just
them.
saying they exist out there.
Yeah, I had a
do.
consultation this week where on average my calls are about an hour and a half.
Wow.
Oh my god. Well,
Mine are about
Fernando,
an hour.
are you talking?
No,
you guys are shorter, right?
It's Fernando.
Okay, it's definitely not the Fernando.
but you guys are shorter, right? Mine are about an hour.
Or like 45 minutes to an hour.
On average, like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're like a couple that actually talks to, it's like an
Yeah,
hour
yeah,
or so.
yeah.
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 I mean, I'm saying average. There's calls like what I was mentioning. Like I had a call that lasted 15 minutes,
Yeah.
Yep.
and it was just like
You already know.
I was like, that is going
not happening.
Nowhere.
Why they wasted my time.
Yep.
I think it was a waste
Dreadful.
of both of our time because like I always ask not necessarily probing questions like what's your budget, like what are you guys about, where'd you meet, what's your
Right,
story,
yeah.
like that kind of stuff, just to kind of get a lay of the land before I even like say, okay, our starting price is this and we do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Clearly, if most people, I feel like our website provides that kind of information right off the jump anyway. But yeah, that call it was 15 minutes and I was just like, yep. I followed up. I know they opened the email.
Yeah.
I
is what it
most
is,
likely
yeah.
won't do a second or third follow up because
Yeah.
I know that's going nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side of that, I've had conversations in the last month with 3 couples that the conversations were an hour and a half. This one couple, it was 2 hours. We were laughing. I'd lost track of time. I was like, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
I finished a Stanley cup full of water, like this, that, and the other. My wife is like,
But it's a long meeting.
but like it didn't feel that way.
Yeah.
It was a really fun conversation. I was making them laugh. They were telling me all their stories and their nonsense and all that. I send them the proposal. They thank you so much. Give us like a couple of days.
Yeah.
And I usually tell people, listen, I'm not that guy that's going to be calling you and texting you like, hey, give me an answer.
Mhm.
3 days, I send an email. One more follow up after that, and then I
It's
kind of
good.
leave their.
Yeah.
I leave it in their court. Full disclosure, I have email tracking on everything. And I strongly suggest you do that for a number of reasons. More for paper trail for your end. You know,
To make sure they received it.
well, yeah, we had a couple instances a couple years ago where we ran into clients who were being difficult and saying that we weren't providing information.
Okay.
And that we
So you want the
hadn't-
proof to say this got to you.
And
Right.
This was
so it
opened.
got contentious to the point where they were either threatening, not necessarily legal action, but they were more like, we're about to cancel our contract and we'll, and potentially go into the negative review side of things. So I was like, let's nip this in the bud immediately. So I found this program that attaches to our server and it tracks the email. And most Fortune 500 businesses are doing that anyway.
Mhm.
Like if you ever put something in a cart from a shopping website like Banana Republic, you're going to get
You
an
get an
email
email
within
real quick.
30
Hey,
minutes.
Mhm.
You forgot
forget
this in your
something?
cart.
Mhm.
You have something in your car.
It's part of
Here's
marketing.
15% off this time, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck, I'm going to buy it.
Mhm.
Yeah, they get you like that.
Wait, so
works on me.
that 2 hour
Always
meeting,
works.
did they book?
No, they didn't.
They did not book?
But they
Those
opened.
hurt the most.
Right? Well, you're on there for
I
2
was-
hours
Those
and you.
fucking hurt.
I honestly took it a little personal.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I spent all
it's
this
so
time
funny.
with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to find
So
you.
my office doesn't have a door. Like my office was the old lady's TV room that we bought the house.
Mhm.
So I technically could put a door, but I've chosen not to. And there's the couch, and my wife has chosen to sit there and on the chase and sort of listen in because now she's developing her business. But her thing is like, I just love hearing you talk to people because it's fun for me to see you in your element. Like
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
always here together. She works from home.
Yeah.
There's like, but I love seeing what you do to people.
I thought she's like heckling you there.
No, so sometimes she does, or so
We have
sometimes,
each other when we're.
or sometimes she does something very inappropriate just to like throw me off my game, which is really funny.
That's so funny.
That's awesome.
So she's like, wait, but you were on the phone with them or like on video for
Yeah.
2 hours. What the hell?
That's
I'm
like a whole
so
relationship.
I asked her, I was like,
Right?
did I say anything wrong?
Yeah.
She's like, no, I thought you had that in the bag.
Yeah.
So I go on the tracking thing. They had opened the email 25 times
Oh my God.
between the proposal, the subsequent follow-up, and the final follow-up.
It's usually budget, to be honest. Like,
Granted,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Still sucks.
The
Yeah,
way I
it hurts.
end my
Yeah.
conversations and my consults is, guys, the only thing I ever ask of my clients is just don't leave me on red. And for a number of reasons, because I tell them the minute I meet with a client, I pencil in that date until I hear otherwise.
Of course.
Mhm.
Yep.
Because you're meeting with me, and part of my conversation is like, if you're meeting with me, I'm the one at your wedding. I'm not going to pitch you Joey, John, or Mark, or whomever. You're meeting with Fernando. I'm the one handling the emails, the communication, the planning, and I'm executing the event.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the biggest draws for us as a company to our clients. It's like, oh, I'm dealing with the actual
Yep.
person who's
Here.
performing the services.
Yep.
Yep.
Mhm.
yeah, owner-operated situation. So I tell them, unless I hear otherwise. However, it's a first come, first serve thing. And full disclosure, I'm like, if somebody contacts me for your date, you're the first one that's going to get an email saying, I have another interested party.
Mhm.
Not to put pressure on you, but more to let you know, hey, this is what happens.
Fun.
Right. Right.
yeah.
And venues do that. Other vendors do that. I think it's more than fair to just have that full disclosure aspect. The fact that they opened up the email that many times, it doesn't tell me that it was a budgetary thing. I just think it's something else. And as a person, it's bothering me. It
Yeah.
shouldn't. But considering how well the conversation went, I was like, damn, man. That
Yeah, we've had a
sucked.
bunch of those. It sucks.
It might have been maybe
know what it
family
was.
involved.
And
family
why would they
involved.
open it
I
25
don't,
times?
whatever it was,
Yeah.
I'm still annoyed at it.
Yeah.
And I'm slowly getting over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it happened 3 times last week.
So, question for you, which is a good segue into what we've been
Booking.
experiencing. How has the DJ world been with bookings right now in the industry? Inquiries?
Our
Does
per-
everyone? Well, not specifically, but like the rumblings you've heard on your side of the
Yeah,
industry.
so
Yep.
my circle for the DJ, I have more photographer friends than DJ friends.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how your side of the business is, but the DJ business is incredibly catty and immature and childish.
No, we have that
We have
here.
that
Yeah,
too.
I'm sure you do. But the DJ world is incredibly vindictive.
Okay.
And it's sad, to be honest with you,
Mhm.
because it's immature, it's stupid. We're all grown men and grown women and adults,
Mm-hmm.
but it's detrimental to the actual growth of the industry itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sure we've talked about these Facebook groups. If somebody says I'm looking for a DJ, you got like 10 guys saying
Mm-hmm.
I'm available.
yeah.
I start at 900.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do it for free.
Yeah.
I'll do it for free. I'll do it for vendor meal. So the whole race to the bottom, I think, is way more
So
prevalent with the DJ world than photographers. There's still photographers
It's
that will,
there. Yeah,
Yeah, it's there. I see it.
Yeah.
but for us, it's the whole like cost of living, the inflation. A lot of the stuff that guys are doing, not everybody, but I feel like they're still charging stuff that they was charging back in 2000.
Mm.
And in my mindset, and I think in most wedding vendors' mindset, I'm like, hey, listen, everybody has raised their prices, especially after COVID, and especially right now with inflation prices. Like my wedding venue is now 37% more than what I paid for.
Wow.
And I know that for a fact because we're in active discussions with other clients
Yeah.
that saw my videos, and the venue sort of kind of let it slip that this, it's
Mhm.
not
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
anymore.
So in the DJ world, you're saying that they don't mind lowering their prices real quick just to get the booking?
Yeah, their
Okay.
whole thing is I could make $500 or I could stay
Stay
at
home
home.
and do nothing.
But they're not looking at it the long term thing. Okay, if you do this gig for $1,000, let's say, just throw out a number, and if you crush it, you might be a great DJ. You might be a great DJ, event host, duo, whatever. But if you have an amazing gig and you do it at 1,000, and that person recommends you to all those other
That's
people
the
are
price
going to
point.
expect at that price point.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be very difficult for you to say, well, I only did it for them, but no, you're going to pay this price.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the very short mentality,
Mhm.
short-minded mentality that a lot of DJs have. And I've gone into a few heated discussions about it on social
Mhm.
media. There's a bunch of DJ groups that people ask for help, like, hey, man, can you rent me this? Or I need this, or I have an available date and I don't have anybody coverage. And there's always a handful of guys like, I'm available. I'll do it for X.
So you guys aren't noticing a decrease in
Yes.
you are?
We are. Yeah. And we, Christian and I, are wholeheartedly and full-fledged fighting it by removing ourselves from certain client bases,
Mm-hmm.
because we are at a point where we feel like our talent and our experience and our attention to detail and just our overall personality is what we're bringing to the table.
Mhm.
Is everybody brings speakers, everybody can do lights, everybody can do X, Y, and Z, anybody can introduce people,
Mhm.
like do intros and play
Ladies
this.
and gentlemen.
Yeah, welcome to the Robo.
Ladies and gentlemen.
They have their spiel, they have their shtick, whatever, and that's it.
Mhm.
There seems to be a lack of creativity. Not all of them. There's definitely a handful of guys who are definitely breaking a lot of barriers and sort of kind of setting different trends, which great. Yeah, I'm glad.
Mhm.
But there's still that dumb mentality of like, I rather go to work for X,
Mm.
but they're not thinking of what is really their cost for doing that event at that
Yep.
price point.
Yeah, because for our side, everyone's been complaining about bookings,
It's depressing.
ghosting.
So depressing.
There's a lot of like,
Yeah. So
Sad
to answer
things
your
going
question, I personally had a very, very good first quarter. Well, actually, end of Q4, Q1.
Mm.
It was actually way better than expected, to the
Mhm.
point where I was like, I quoted my wife, I'm like, come buy you a car.
Mm.
No, I have to get her a new car. At
We
least
can do a few more escape rooms and
yeah, that's how we
We
gauge our
measure by
bookings.
escape rooms.
How many escape rooms we can do.
But at the same time, speaking to my very small circle of DJ friends, we did like sometimes like, hey, how's it going?
Mm.
Most of them are providing it's not that good right now.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I think overall, and not to get political or anything like that, it's just the overarching aspect of the reality of society right now is everybody's worried about money. And they have to be like. I just went to the butcher today, and it was literally like $20 more than what I paid 2 months ago. I checked the receipts, and it was the same thing. I just bought the same exact thing. It's only 2 of us. I'm not buying anything extravagant. I think that the fear mongering that goes on in not only social media, the news or whatever about the cost of living, like, yeah, it's a reality, but it's also exacerbating the fear of maybe plunging down that kind of money, that kind of investment for what a wedding entails. And you notice it full-fledged in the bridal groups. If you are a creeper in those groups, like I tend to be, I don't comment, I don't self-promote because I find it to be
I lurk.
very, very self-serving. And sometimes I'll be like, hey. And the few times that I did it, it kind of bit me in the ass a little bit. Like people kind of clap back because some people were like, oh, I can't believe this costs them. I'm like, well, what do you think it costs to actually do what you're expecting to do? So I got tired of conversation. Even like some vendor friends who are in that group, they text me like, that didn't go that well. I'm like, didn't. So
Well, I think what you said before made a lot of sense, that you guys are gearing towards a different market.
yeah, but I'm noticing that it's all intertwining because even people that are getting married at venues that we know are a premium per plate pricing, like the Park Chateaus, the Pleasantdale Chateaus, etc. Their clientele is definitely trying to get their best bang for the buck, and that's fine. I mean, like I'm the same way. I'm always trying to find a deal, but I also understand that like you can't expect to buy a BMW for the price of a Kia kind of thing, and that's unfortunately what I see. It's a trend because of these bridal groups. Because you have one bride be like, oh, that is an absurd price. I did my wedding for $10,000. I'm like, but yeah, you got married in Marlton in like a night of Columbus.
And then, oh my God, can you send me your vendors?
And I'm not the only one experiencing that. I'm sure you're not. Even like Julie, who's been my wife, who's started getting inquiries for her stationery business. She's like, some of these chicks are asking for an invite suite, and their budget's like $2,000. Like, okay,
Is that high or low?
That's nothing.
Oh yeah,
It's low for 2,000.
Well, if you want like a custom, fancy
it's not like you're going to Shutterfly or getting it from Canva or like Mint.
I don't know that world. Yeah, so
What's that chick's name? Cece from New York.
I mean, the chick that you guys had at
Nikisha.
Yeah.
When she started seeing her investment points is like average 10 grand. I was taking notes. I'm like, Julie, you need to follow this because this chick is getting 10 grand for a wedding.
Yeah, Cece, is her name Cece New York?
CC, I haven't seen her post in a really long time.
She's not very active on social media, but again, I think she's one of those outliers that like has a niche market, a niche clientele.
She does high end like luxury, but she charges a lot.
Yeah, and when we were doing the wedding planning, the reason why Julie started this business is because she saw an opportunity. We reached out to the top 10 invite people in the area. Nobody responded. Nobody. When I tell you nobody responded to DMs on social media, to inquiry forms,
they must be rich, all of them.
So my thought process, I'm like, damn, business must be good that you're not even telling me, hey, I'm not available, or not even an automated response.
Yeah.
It was dead air. And granted, I had the mail tracking feature put on our joint email account because I wanted to know, like, hey,
if they're reading it,
if they're reading,
responding,
responding or whatever. Call it creepy, call it weird.
Did they read it?
Yes.
That's crazy.
They read it multiple times. And I just found it really odd. I'm like, I respond to everybody. Even if they get the automated response with it. So when inquiries come in, they get an automated response of, hey, if you're contacting us on a weekend, just wait for us, 72 hours, et cetera, whatever. But I make it a point, and this is something that Christian is like telling me, you need to stop doing that. Like, I'll answer anybody in the middle of the night sometimes. Because like I'm awake. I'm like, screw it. Like,
schedule it for later.
Yes, I have to learn how to do that. But for the last 12 years, I guess my mindset has been like, I'm an entrepreneur. I have to be on 24/7, and it's not a healthy.
No,
it's not. And I guess maybe because I watched too many Gary Vee videos back in the day, I can't stand him now. I refuse.
Me too.
I can't engage with his content anymore. But when he first started coming out, I guess I was like relating to his content more because I was like, shit. He's right. I should be busting my ass doing this.
The overall message is there. It's there, but it just after a while, it's just too much.
Yeah. Once he sort of kind of became the Vayner media guy, I tuned out.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna buy the Jets one day.
Yeah. When he first started coming out with like the wine library videos, I think that's when I was like, cool. This guy is like on the forefront of something really, really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's a lot of podcasts I stopped watching or listening to because they sort of became a little bit more like, all right, you live in La La Land, bro, because life is not like that.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the wedding, planning our wedding, definitely showed us a different side. Mostly me, obviously, as a wedding professional. That there's certain people that don't really have the same mindset as I do, and that's okay.
What was the problem that you had with photographers that you said?
That was going to be my main talking point. I was like,
You guys have 5 minutes.
I'm on the clock. Why do you guys not like introduce yourselves and say hi?
I do.
Not you, photographers in general.
So I would say I do like 50% of the time, right?
Yes, but then sometimes you get mad when the DJ doesn't say hi to you.
Right.
He'll be like, "That DJ's a jerk. He hasn't said hi to us."
So it's a two-way street here.
Yeah.
Right. So
Okay.
Because I need your audio. So.
Oh, but you're different. Most people don't need that.
No, so even if I'm talking about photographers, I know you're very, very, very different in terms of like I
Wait,
know
what are you
record
pulling
that
audio for?
for his videos.
Slideshows.
He does his little slideshow.
Oh, right. So
He's like one of maybe 3 people that I know that do that.
Okay.
I'm talking videographer. I would expect you to be like, "Hi, my name is so and so. Do you mind if I tap into your system?"
Mm-hmm.
I've even taken it as far as like I ask my clients for the social media tags or even like a direct email, and I'll send an introductory email. "Hey, I'm Fernando. I'm working with you at so and so's wedding at so and so date. Let me know if there's anything you need from my end, and here is a rough outline of what I'm going to be doing."
You send it to the video team?
Yes,
Wow.
photo and video for a number of reasons, mostly self-serving. Because I want to develop a relationship to the point where maybe they'll share some content with me. Right now, I'm in a weird spot where I don't have anybody capturing content for me. I used to have an in-house video guy.
Hit me up. I'll send you everything I got.
I talked to, like behind the scenes and all that stuff. I had my nephew do that.
I see.
Mhm.
And Christian has his brother do that, and he's basically his full-time guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in this weird position where, I'm not producing that much content. So I'm looking at it more like, maybe if I play nice in the stand with this guy, he'll be more than willing to just send me the raw footage. I don't need like an edited video. I can edit it myself. I have Final Cut, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also ultimately, and this is something that is like an overarching, I guess, argument or comment is like, I think there needs to be a little bit more camaraderie, if that's even the word.
Camaraderie?
Yeah. Hey, listen, man. ESL, all right? My
English
wife
major.
makes fun of me. You know what I was saying.
Say the word in Spanish if you have to.
Amistad.
¿Qué carajo? Mira.
¿Qué carajo? You guys gotta stop teaching me. Ben, I'll teach you worse things so you can really offend people. So,
Puta madre.
mira pendejo.
You don't know that one?
Yeah. Mira pendejo.
Pendejo is a good insult. It's not too aggressive, but it gets the point across.
It depends on what culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Some people take pendejo really seriously.
Puerto Ricans take it serious.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't hang around Puerto Ricans a lot. So. Most of my friends are Central American or Brazilian. So back to like I just feel like there's not a lot of, I guess you want to call it respect. Like I personally was taught to like, if you walk into a room, "Hi, how are you? How you doing?" Blah, blah, blah. But especially if like you see 2 people in the room and those 2 people, one of them is you.
Yeah.
"Hey, how are you?" Blah, blah.
We're the worst at that.
Do you know what
Sorry.
I do?
70%.
We walk in.
I tried.
They don't approach me. I'm not approaching
No.
you.
But do you know what I do?
Well, that's my question.
Most of the time,
Yeah.
most of the time they talk to me already as I'm coming back to get my gear. I'll talk to them.
Yeah. Wait,
you
what
just
were you
don't
gonna say,
see
Ben?
it.
Second part of my
Yeah.
argument. Why do you feel like it is totally okay to dump your shit behind my DJ booth?
All right, let me rewind first.
That's
all
the
right?
best spot. That's the best spot for it.
Ben's alive.
So,
But like, without even saying like, "Hey, do you mind?"
You know what? All right. So
Ben, let Ben talk.
go ahead.
So, I don't get those emails from you. Like, "Hey, I'm the DJ for this event."
Because I know you.
Yeah. Wait a second. 'Cause
Oh,
you
we're
know,
going back that far?
yeah, so you know what? So you know what? Like, when I walk into the room and I find that he's DJing, I look at the bride and goes, "You hired this motherfucker?"
Literally, he says that. Yeah. And I'll probably say that now with these 2. But no, like I just think, and I'm not the only one because we joke around.
Because I do bring my bags back to, like, sometimes back to where you
Some
are.
venues will tell you, like they'll
Can
tell
I do
you
it?
straight
I'll
up.
ask permission though.
They'll
first.
tell you to put it behind.
I know the
DJ
venue
setup.
will tell you.
Yeah,
But my argument about it is like, it's technically my personal space that you're putting
We
your
never
shit
put
in.
it behind. We always put it to the
I always
side.
put it like,
But
or
even
in the
so,
corner
like,
somewhere. Where
not
there's
even
like-
acknowledging.
People legit put it in your area.
Legit, like
Oh,
you-
no, I
whether
never-
I'm
no, I
behind
never.
there or not. Like
No, no,
maybe
no,
I
no.
even went to go get changed, and by the
No.
time I come back,
All
and
the
the
shit's there.
biggest fucking
I have a
annoying
fear.
aspect of it, especially for videographers. Why the fuck can you learn how to use your goddamn camera properly? Why do you need a 10,000 Kelvin floodlight like this the entire fucking way? So,
we were talking about that recently with
full
somebody.
disclosure, I started a Finsta that I'm going to start making fun of videographers.
Oh, I love
I have
that.
a group
are
chat-
Are they who you have the biggest gripes with?
No, just any videographer.
No, I'm
that-
saying over photographers.
No, both. I
Okay.
find it that it's like, it's just rude.
I know one videographer who does that. I don't recommend
But
him
there's
anymore.
also a lot of entertainment companies that are not welcoming. Like we started in
I
Staten Island.
literally was just going to say
We
it is
started in
definitely
Staten Island.
a two-way street.
Yeah.
Staten Island, Long Island.
They're assholes.
Oh,
You can say it.
they think that everyone's there to see them for
Yeah.
the wedding,
But that's the
But do you
market.
think-
and they're fucking drinking
Yeah.
beers.
Yeah,
they have
that's the
fucking
market.
cocktails, and I'm just like, that type of
That
I guess
vibe?
yeah, I don't mesh with. I'll talk to them, but I'm not gonna be all friendly with them. But usually I introduce myself, and especially if there's a lot of spotlights, I like to find out like what the plan is with those spotlights, like when they're gonna use them.
Let me ask you, do you kind of come off like, the fuck are you going to do with those lights? Or like, hey, man,
No,
like, you show me your spotlights?
Yeah.
Because that's
I'll just
another
tell
problem
them, like,
we run into.
Well, yeah, some
I'll
people
just
are
say,
jerks
hey,
and will be
They walk
nasty
in
about it.
with a huge chip on their shoulders. I'm like, my guy, I just met you.
yeah.
But my whole thing is also like, and I say this in conversations in sales meetings, I'm like, we make sure that our lighting isn't detriment to the content creators, the photographers, the videographers. And I make it a point to say that we invested in lighting that is flexible. I can do cool lighting, I can do incandescent lighting, I can do warmer tones, whatever. And I even tell photographers, but maybe I'm the outlier, maybe not. I don't
No,
know.
You
are.
are because
I tell them,
I had a situation where, usually if you're gonna put spotlights, I'm okay with it, but at least aim it right. Don't have half of their body lit,
Lit,
and
and
the
then
other half.
the bodies,
Right?
and the
Yeah.
hands are not lit. And,
And their answer is, oh, it looks better for the dry ice. I'm like, yeah, but now look at them. Like,
yeah.
Then-
Well, they're just amateurs at that point.
they look like shit. And then another time I had someone say, it's in my contract. I'm not turning the lights off. And I was like, well, that contract is between you and the couple, right? And they go, yeah, well, I'm going to go talk to the couple. And bride came with me, was like, yeah, can you just turn them off just for the first dance? Because there was fucking all kinds of lasers going
shapes, all
around.
kinds of shapes.
Shapes.
moving.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
is it, the
I'm like,
shapes?
shapes, like,
Yeah,
come
what's up
on.
with the,
What
let's
is
ask you
the
now.
shape?
What's up with the shapes? What's up with the shapes, dude? And why can't you match the temperature to the rest of the candles in the room?
Again,
Fernando,
I
like,
am
it's not me, it's not
I
me.
am the outlier.
not me, it's not me.
Like this,
My
some-
OCD type A personality refuses to do those things. Like sometimes I cringe at the content that I see.
And why
DJs
can't you
post.
wait for me to like be clear of your sparklers before you fire it?
You must have pissed them off.
I got
So
blasted. It was a
full
seal
disclosure, I am very guilty of blasting two photographers because they were such assholes that I saw them and I was like, fuck it. I pressed the button and I lit their ass up. And I had my video, my assistant who's got my media phone, I'm like, record this, watch this. Because they were so incredibly rude and just like downright disrespectful. I was like, fuck this guy, man. Like,
Yeah.
I lit his ass up and you can tell like he was pissed. And you can he gave me the like, what the fuck look? And I'm like, you're fucking standing there. It's not my fucking problem.
That's it.
So when they were leaving for the night, did the second shooter come over and unplug your stuff?
So in my
Someone we know
face,
did that.
Did you hear that story? From
yes. So I have been tempted to do that because
For the LEDs?
listen, man.
Some of them plug them in.
There is absolutely no reason why I've seen guys shooting with like red cameras and they have 4 floodlights
Yeah, that's a lot.
set to like 5,000 Kelvin, pure
100%.
stark white. And I'm like, dude, one guy was very, 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 very difficult. And I said, my guy, that is a $10,000 camera you're using, and clearly you don't know what the fuck you're doing. I was like, either you turn these lights off or I'll go tell the client. because I was like, the client paid for moving heads, the client paid for uplighting, and it looks like it's South
Fucking
Beach.
Friday Night Lights.
like Yankee Stadium.
It looks like I'm about to throw the first pitch here.
That's what I told. That's what I told the video guy. And
I
he's like,
see videographers do that.
Yeah.
I was like,
And I
dude,
told Jen, holy
the light
shit,
is huge. The light is this
they're
big,
huge.
right? I'm like, what the
holy
fuck?
shit, it's fucking bright here.
And the biggest pet
I'm
peeve is
walking
when
around
like
with
they set up
sunglasses.
lights without even asking me, can I put it here? Sometimes they'll put. I've even seen guys
I
like
do that.
plug into my speaker.
That I would never do.
No, I always talk.
Into
I
my
always
mixer.
ask
I'm
before
like,
I
yo,
touch your
like
stuff.
there's just a common courtesy aspect. I'm reiterating experiences. I went to one guy. I'm like, hey, you mind if I go into your camera bag and like pick out a lens that I want to use? And he looked at me like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you had the audacity to go behind my DJ booth, plug your shit in, not even introduce yourself, and then you walked away.
Oh my god.
And he gave me the look like,
Yeah.
you want to fight? And I was like, just so we're on the same page, you don't think that's cool, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm like, right. So let's shake on it and have a good gig after this. All right. And then the rest of the night was chill. But I called him out on it because, like, who the hell goes into somebody's gear and just starts like messing with it?
ask to
You
touch.
always ask. Yeah.
And I make it a point to tell them, I'm like, hey, hi, I'm Fernando. How are you? Blah, blah, blah. How did the ceremony go? By the way, if you need to tap into my mixer, I have it lined out. I went as far as buying a mixer that has an SD card slot and a dedicated out channel
God.
for videographers.
To make it convenient, just
Yeah.
And I even have the
What else?
wires.
you have
DJ
two
groups
audios.
I have.
I bring the wires.
Yeah, you're one of like 5.
Yeah, I bring.
I've
all
had
the wires.
videographers who are like, oh, I don't have the cable. I'm like,
You know what we saw at this videographer who we used to refer? He's no longer doing video. He got promoted for his full-time job. But the last wedding that he did was his last wedding with us, right? And he plugged in, he asked permission halfway into the wedding.
they unplugged him.
He walks over and it was unplugged. So he asked the DJ, he was like, hey, what happened? Why did you guys unplug it? He goes, it was causing interference. And he was like, what?
The line in. What?
Yeah, so he was like, I just unplugged it. And then, so he was like, he came up to me and Jen was like, it's a good thing this is my last fucking wedding. Because, like, he goes, this guy, he, like, this type of shit, why I'm getting out of the business. Like, unplug the audio completely.
Yeah.
What
All
other
right, what
DJ
other
gripes
grievances do
do?
you have? What other
Yeah.
grievances?
That's mostly it.
What DJ grievances do we
No,
have?
yes. Now share your DJ grievances.
So what was our DJ grievances?
Yeah, please tell me.
The
I'm so
swirling
curious.
lights.
The swirling lights. Mostly
Yeah,
the lighting
swirling
issue.
lights are terrible. That's
Also,
when.
Doing formalities while we're eating. We
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's some
Yeah.
seriously
What
like.
anno-
I
what
have one
pissed me
story.
off. We're eating dinner together
With the
with
DJ.
the DJ.
With the DJ.
He's done. Goes
He
inside.
said, I'll see you guys inside. Starts fucking parent dances.
Like,
We were
Come
having dinner.
on.
He apologized afterward. He was like,
you
he
eating
was
with
like-
me.
He said the venue was on his case.
He was just like, I'm so fucking sorry. Because he works alone.
Oh,
He's the MC and the DJ. So
he's an amateur.
He
You can
came
say
up
that.
to us and was like, I just like didn't fucking realize it. I'm like, dude, we're fucking eating together,
So
man.
wait, what happened with the clients? You told them flat out like,
No, you.
No,
Well, luckily
we-
we could hear it from the other room.
with
You
cameras,
ran.
you know,
So we
we
could
just
just
pick
run.
them up and start shooting.
But it's easier for us as photo. We only need a handful of pictures.
right.
But like if there's a videographer,
They got to turn on lights.
They
No,
got-
I get that completely.
Just have the tripod, focus, like
So
It's
the
a lot more
counter
work.
argument with that is I always make it a point to say to whomever I introduce myself, I'm like, listen, full disclosure, I'm not one of those guys. And they're like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? I'm like, I'm not one of those guys you probably worked with. And because I just like to joke around with people just to kind of break the ice. And they're like, I'm not one of those asshole DJs that will do things without you in the room. And they're like, oh, thank God. I'm like, because I know what it is.
Mhm.
I know how it feels like. Because the other side of that argument would be like, I love it when photographers take the bride and groom out of the room and don't tell me.
Mhm.
And then I'm like, all right, let's give a big shout out to whomever. And then,
they're fucking gone. Yeah,
or
we never
which
do
is even
that.
worse for
Yeah.
me. And obviously we've addressed it by not making sure we scan the room to see where's the chick in white. Like if there's a particular request that the bride and groom, like I said, absolutely we have to be in the
Good
room
for
because
that,
it's
yeah.
an important
Right.
song. There's been occasions where like
They're not.
we see the bride and groom, they were on the dance floor, put my head down, headphones on, blah, blah, blah. I start mixing in the song and then
Where'd they go?
oh shit.
Yeah.
They're outside.
Mhm.
That happens a lot, I feel like.
Yeah, and that's why 99 times out of 10 now I don't even do a night shot. I'm like,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
what's the point?
I had
Especially if there's nothing at your
I had
venue.
a special request due to a night shot, and I told the
If they requested, then of
and I
course.
told her, hey,
like,
listen, I'm taking him out for a few minutes. The DJ
Yeah.
followed me outside.
For
I was like,
content.
for what?
He probably
No,
wanted to
his
record
hands
it.
are in his pockets. He was just watching me because he's like, yo,
make sure you're quick.
the dance floor is happening right now. It's
Oh,
like
I'd see
hopping right
that
now.
like stupid. Like
It's like, like how much time do you need for these pictures?
that's
my
like an
God.
insecurity response. Like I could care less because if I have the dance floor popping, I have the dance floor popping.
You don't need the bride and groom there for
right.
that.
Like if the bride and groom chose that kind of photography or photographer that takes them out of the room, that's on them. That doesn't really fall on me.
But
Yeah.
as long as you know, as
Yeah,
well.
But
I
as
told-
long
yeah,
as
I
I
told
know,
them.
like
Yeah.
And the Major D
communication.
too. Major D gotta know.
Yeah.
I've seen.
Major D was out with me.
When no,
He was probably also timing you.
in the past when I used to second shoot often, I would see like people I'm shooting for would just take the bride and groom or whatever the couple out.
Yeah.
The maitre d' would rip them a new one, and I'm like, dude, that's like, come on, you just gotta tell them like, hey, we're going out for 5 minutes. When can we do it?
It's just basic like
Yeah.
common sense. I feel
Yeah.
like that's very much lacking, not only in the wedding industry, but just like overall. Like I think these stupid little things have dumbed us down to a certain extent in terms of just basic human contact / like decency / just communication skills.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody just kind of like does whatever and they don't really think about anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And not letting somebody know like as basic as like, hey Ben, I'm gonna take him out of the room, or like, hi,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
name is so and so. I just feel like it's just really absurd.
It's a common courtesy.
Yeah.
What are your other biggest pain points working, not just with photo, video, but like venue?
I mean, the venues, it depends. Like, I'm sure you guys have a blacklist of venues.
course.
I
Yeah.
have a blacklist of venues too. And
There's some venues I won't go back to.
it's grown.
I feel it's harder for you guys because there's so many
Oh.
requirements. Like, oh my, you guys bring in so much equipment.
No,
and-
yeah, it's
You
a
gotta
matter.
park here. You gotta load here. Like
It's a matter almost like health and safety in some of them
Mhm.
going
because
to the kitchen.
the loading dock is a cesspool, or it's just poorly thought out, and a lot of the ones that I don't go to, like they're fairly remodel or like fairly new buildings, and I'm just like, your business is revolved around bands and DJs performing here.
Mhm.
What made you think that this was like okay? Or,
Yeah.
like, what made you think that this was actually going to be worth it? Especially like the one in the middle of the lake.
Oh.
They have what 3-4 ballrooms? Yeah, granted, they have built-in audio, they have built-in lights. This guy, like, he can't take a hint. Yes.
I was like, which one? Oh, yeah, I know.
So they commandeer the only elevator that we're allowed to use. Then, like, the loading elevator, which is technically not something we were supposed to use, they ask us to put our stuff in there. And I don't know if you've ever seen a freight elevator in a catering hall. Disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, that's where the trash bags go and they leak and everything. And then they're like, look what you did to our carpets. I'm like, well, you made me go into that loading dock. Was I supposed to like spray
Lift it
and
up?
hand brush
I
the
don't go
wheels?
there. I don't go there.
No.
Yeah.
I've never shot there.
The thing that kind of was like the nail in the coffin in that space was they were asking for a really interesting insurance addendum.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They,
Well,
they
basic-
changed it, I think, a little bit.
Not to my knowledge, because my partner had to. That was one of the reasons why we started shopping around for different insurance policies.
Mm.
Basically, what my insurance agent broke it down in layman's terms was like they basically want your insurance to be the first one sued,
Right. Yeah.
rather than them.
Yeah.
No matter if it had anything to do with DJ related stuff like your cables, gear, or anything.
Wow.
So if somebody were to slip and fall in their lobby or in their elevator or their bathroom, because you were part of that event,
can sue
you
you.
are a named insured, and they're going to go after your stuff too.
Mm.
And
and that goes for all vendors, I'm assuming.
right.
Yeah. Some.
And it was
people
also
don't
like
sign
a
it.
$300 per occurrence addendum.
Some people don't sign it. They just show up
Well,
and they try to make you sign it.
they
either
try
way,
they make
yeah.
you sign a waiver, basically saying, well, so we made a decision to either pass that cost on to the client, or just not work
there, yeah.
anymore. So
Yeah.
from what I'm hearing, the place is up for sale.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. So my partner calls me a chismoso.
Oh, that's
Do you
my
know
husband.
what chismoso is?
Chismoso.
this is-
I know. I learned what
There's two
chismoso
of
is.
you.
Yeah,
I do
There's
know.
two
So
of
it's not that I
you.
love
watch
the
Game of
gossip.
Thrones?
It's just like I think.
Yeah. They call me Varys.
He's Varys.
Oh, you're Varys?
He has
yeah.
birds.
Yeah. You know what? That's actually a really good way to describe anybody that like. So for some reason, and you guys can be as frank as for some reason everybody seems to like to talk to me and tell me all the dirt.
Same here.
My neighbors,
It just comes to me.
my acquaintances, the venues, even like random ass people that I never met. That's how I found out. I was shopping around for insurance and
Is your mom a gospel queen?
No.
Oh, his
my-
mom
my
is.
mom.
No.
So that's why I know where he got it from.
My mom
No,
is.
but I don't actively go search
Professional.
for it. Like, you know, like some
Yeah,
people like
I don't either. It
they
just comes.
live to like, yo, so did you hear what happened? Like him, I got the tea. No, I won't say that. But I'm mentioning it now because I literally was shopping
I
around
got
for a
the
new
tea.
insurance company. And I asked them, I'm like, so they brought up the conversation that like, hey, you know, we actually insure a couple of venues. And he was like, he didn't tell me which names. I'm like, but you know, like, you ever hear about X, Y, and Z? I'm like, oh yeah, that one. You're like, oh well, we hear they're for sale. I'm like,
Wow.
okay.
No
Good
thanks.
to know.
Interesting.
Good to know.
I mean, that guy
Yeah.
don't need any money. I mean, the place is definitely not my cup of tea in terms of visuals. I think it's definitely a niche.
Gaudy.
You can
I'm being
see,
politically correct, but yes.
you can see the couples. They all look the same. That are
Well,
there.
I think it's also they were targeting a certain demographic.
Okay, yeah.
But I also think there's a market for that for a reason. New Jersey, some people really love that
That look.
That look, yeah.
They love
Well,
the.
there's a certain there's certain venues that attract a certain vibe.
And
I think
Have
we
you-
touched on everything, huh?
Well, do you have any like crazy wedding stories you like to
oh,
share?
yeah. Let's talk about a crazy wedding story.
Yeah, I do actually.
Just one. You get just one.
You
Just
got
one?
one. Choose carefully.
the
So-
most juiciest.
Yeah, it's been long enough, and you know they signed an NDA, so they can't say anything. This is one of the many reasons why I definitely have moved my pricing to weed out a lot of
Mhm.
a lot of the ghetto fabulousness, the rache, like I say,
Rache.
not ratchet, rache.
The French way.
So it was this
French hoodlums.
interesting couple. They were like, you know, tatted up. They were definitely more into like EDM and punk rock or whatever. So I was like, yeah, this is my vibe. You know, I love EDM and I love house music, but I also really do love rock music. So great. Was at the Fiesta. Around that point, I was still kind of like working in that market.
The wedding was at the Fiesta?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like
I got you.
lower middle tier. It wasn't. You know,
Never been there. Where is this?
I think it's for
You've
sale too.
been there.
It's in Woodridge.
No, I've never been there.
You've never been
It's
at
up
the
in like,
Fiesta?
it's like Bergen Passaic.
Come on.
It's
That's like a quintessential venue. Oh, it's because you guys are bougie.
We're not bougie.
But we're also from New York, so like we
Yeah.
moved
It's like,
here.
it's like near
Yeah.
Teterboro, that area.
So it is. I would equate it to. So you said you're from Staten Island. You ever work in the Bronx? Or
Oh,
like Long
we're
Island?
very familiar with the Bronx.
So-
Yes.
This place is kind of like,
Marina
Fox
del
Hollow.
Rey. Oh, Fox Hollow.
Which is
that's
like-
in Long Island.
That's
Long
yeah.
Island, yeah.
which is like 10 weddings happening at the same time.
Oh, like Jericho,
Jericho
Terrace.
Terrace.
Jericho Terrace.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Or
Oh, I
what's
have
the
a
other one
wedding
where
there.
they shot Sopranos? It's owned by the same family. Anyway, whatever.
Is it Crest Hollow? Is Fox Hollow? Crest Hollow?
No, Crest Hall is kind of fancy.
Crest Hollow with the pool?
Yep.
Yes.
Crest
Yeah.
Hollow has a pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that pool is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
nice.
Like the resort,
Com-
man.
Yeah.
Completely.
The outside's
like-
nice. The inside,
Not so much.
Yeah, they blew all of their money on the outside for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, so this place is a factory. It's very old. They've definitely done some updates. Anyway, long story made short, their target demographic is definitely like the
The
budget.
neighborhood.
The
neighborhood.
budget, not
Mhm.
not middle. It's budget.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, it's budget. No, I'm not knocking them. They're really nice to work with. I just don't go there often.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I had this wedding, and it was like I don't know, 100 people. He was Albanian. She was I forget. Anyway, so his family was like legit straight off the plane Albanian. Like he's like, "Do you speak Albanian?" I'm like, "Oh,
Speak Spanish.
español, un poquito de portugués." So, yeah, party's happening. It was a good wedding. And then towards the end, you started seeing like the alcohol consumption was definitely reaching its peak.
Mm.
So there was a lot of drunken people, whatever. So there's this one guy who was just getting really annoying. I don't mind requests. I really don't. But there's always that one guy who just doesn't seem to take the hint. Like it's not going to happen for you, bro. Especially if you're asking for something that's like completely out of left field or inappropriate for a wedding. So he kept asking for the same song. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have it. And then he would ask for another song. I'm like, let me see what I can do. Like that's usually my response. Like,
Mhm.
let me see what I can do. Not like a hard no, because then that, especially with alcohol, people get a little like, what do you mean no?
Combative and everything.
Mhm.
I don't know what happened, but I think I may have been like, I'm really sorry, but I can't do that for you. And it was literally the last song of the night. and he just gave me this really like violent look, like I'm gonna fuck you up. And this is like a middle-aged man. It wasn't like some young guy who like was probably like
play Sweet Caroline.
no, I don't even recall what it was. So whatever, I'm like, all right, another round of applause for Mrs. So-and-so. Thank you so much. You guys were a great crowd. Please get home safe. Good night. The guy storms up to the DJ booth and is like, what the fuck? I asked you to play one fucking song. Like literally screaming up to the top of his lungs. And I'm like, listen, I'm very sorry. The wedding's over. And I would appreciate it if you just kind of take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes and just slaps my laptop off the shelf. And my first instinct, like, I'm a hothead. I really am. And my first instinct was like, all right. And then people saw that. And then the maitre d' was next to me. He's like, Fernando, please. I'm like, all right, just get him away from me. That's it. And he just was like flying off the cuff. And then you see the bride and groom kind of like, what the fuck's going on? And then other people joined the argument. And then one guy like was about to like come behind the DJ booth. And that's when the maitre d' grabs me. He's like, please go inside. I'm like, well, let me grab my laptop at least. Cause like I can replace everything. The laptop is backed up, but like my laptop is my laptop, dude. Like it would take way more work to rebuild my laptop and that. Like if they break the facade, whatever. So he drags us to the behind the doors for the kitchen. And out of nowhere, I hear all this like crashing and slamming. So I push everybody out of the way. I'm like, get the fuck out of my way. I open the door and you see this guy and his nephew, whatever, just trashing my gear. Trashing my DJ booth.
Oh my gosh.
So I just saw red. So I went after them. And then next thing I know is two guys picked me up from my legs and threw me on a banquet table. The speaker lands like this close to my head. My brother-in-law, who was...
I thought you were going to say the fight with guests.
You're actually fighting.
You said you wanted juicy, so I'm giving you juicy. So, mind you, at this point, my 18-year-old nephew is doing photo booths. My sister is driving him to gigs, and she's like, do you mind if I stay? I want to learn because I maybe... So my sister and my nephew are on the other side of the room, and my nephew runs to try to help me. He gets punched in the mouth. My sister gets shoved against the wall, and then my brother-in-law gets involved because he was picking them up. And then I have three dudes on top of me. I'm like grabbing pictures to crack them over the head. It was a full-out brawl.
Oh, my gosh.
It gets broken up. I see my nephew. He's got a bloody lip. My face is throbbing because somebody definitely hit me with something, and I just was like done. I was like, I don't remember what I said.
The couple,
the bride and groom are crying in the corner.
Oh my god!
Both of them.
Instead of fucking trying to stop it,
both of them were crying hysterically in the corner. And this guy, I'm talking about like a pretty jacked guy, full tattoo sleeves. You would think he would be like really, really tough guy. No, they were both hysterically crying. So obviously the cops come, and like I told him, I was like, and then I was like, you can look at the security cameras, and then the cop goes like, yeah, so we already checked that the cameras were off, so it's now your word against them. So I go to the venue, I'm like,
there's witnesses. There's witnesses.
Oh well, we had witnesses,
yeah,
but it in legality terms, it changes a whole different ballgame between witness statements /
video footage.
Yeah. He broke my stuff.
So they trashed my facade. They broke my deck. They broke a speaker. Obviously, they aggravated assault me, my nephew. And the best part, like I was more mad yelling at my assistant because my assistant at the time, he was a moron. He was a pretty jacked kid. He was like 5'7", but he was jacked.
Can it help you?
I was like, you motherfucker, you couldn't help me. I'm like, here I am with three dudes and you're standing. You're like, I'm like, shut the fuck up, get away from me. I was so angry.
Did you get money for your broken shit?
I basically at the end of the night
to cover it.
So here it gets better. So at the end of the night, obviously I went to the bride and groom and I was like, this is really unfortunate, but like we're gonna have to have a conversation after this. Why don't you guys let's just smooth it over and we'll talk about this later. She was like, I didn't want to add more fuel to the fire, like telling like, fuck you gotta pay me, like I'm gonna sue you. Like I was being an adult.
Right.
Listen, they didn't do it. Their guests did it. So I waited a week, and then I reached out to them, and I was like, listen, we need to address this. Obviously, this wasn't okay, but I'm going to be the bigger person here and just ask you to provide restitution for my damaged equipment. I won't go further than that. I could, but I won't.
Uh-huh.
And it was also because my sister also like, I don't want to get your nephew involved. It's just too much.
Yeah,
He's a
going
young
to
kid.
court and all that.
Yeah, she's like, let's just be the bigger people and like let it go. So I did. About a week later, I get a phone call from some random guy from a Philadelphia number. He's like, "Is this Fernando?" I'm like, "Yes." Who am I speaking with? They're like, "Listen, I'm speaking on behalf of the person that got involved in the fight with you." I'm like, "Well, who are you?" Wouldn't give me his name, and I'm already like fuming. He's like, "Listen, either you take $500 and shut the fuck up and stop bothering my cousin, or good luck." So I'm like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Well, you just changed the game now. I will be pressing charges and I will be going after everybody. Have a nice day." So the idiot didn't block his number. So I, a little Google. I found out he's a realtor outside of Philly. So I emailed his boss and I was like, "Just so you know, your
He's threatening people.
your employee is trying to extort and threaten me." I told you, I am very, very petty, vindictive when you cross me. So I called the client. I'm like, "Why in the name of God are you giving out my personal information and having people threaten me?" "Oh my God, we didn't do that. We couldn't figure, like, we would never do that," because they knew that I wasn't going after them. I was like, "Well, just so you know, you will be getting served papers." "Fernando, please, like, come on." I'm like, "Nope." I had to drive all the way to Hackettstown to file a personal lawsuit against them.
Wow.
They called me. They're crying on the phone. They're like, "Fernando, I can't believe you're doing this, adding more, like, like pain to our wedding ring." I'm like, I asked you to
extorted me.
I asked you to just give me the money, and I was being very fair. You gave out my personal information. I was threatened by random people that were apparently representing you guys. So what do you want from me? "Okay, I guess we'll see you in court." "Cool, we'll see you in court." You know that what's that movie that like, "I live for this shit"? That was my mentality. I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna go all the way." Like 2 weeks later, I get a phone call, and the bride is like, "Fernando, we'd like to speak with you in person and try to get this matter behind us." I'm like, "All right, what day?" I thought they were gonna pay me. Like, "Is it possible we can discuss the funds that you were asking for?" I'm like, "No, there's no negotiation here. Either you pay me, I'll drop the lawsuit, or if not, I got all day, baby." So they're like, "Okay, we'll call you back." And then I called my lawyer. I'm like, "Hey, just got a phone call from this chick." Because he flat out told me, he's like, "Listen, I could represent you, but you're not going to make any money. Like, you can do this on
Piece
your
of
own."
paper, yeah.
I was like, "You have witness statements,
Yeah.
etc."
He said you're not going to win this?
No, he said, "You're going to win this, but I'm not going to represent you because my fee is just going to take over the
The whole cost,
Right.
whatever.
the cost is just." He's like, "It's not worth it for me or you to go." He's like, "You have witness statements, you have all kinds of evidence. This is a slam dunk case. Any judge will see that you were attacked by drunk people at their wedding, and all you're asking for is restitution for the damage to equipment." So they're like, "Okay, we can come." I'm like, I forget what day it was. I made them come. I turned on all the security cameras in the office for full recording. I had a tripod with a camera like this, and I had them my lawyer draft an NDA. And I was like, "Listen, I'm going to be very nice to you. Sign this, and I won't do anything further and then give me your bank, the bank check to cover my damages." And then this NDA basically says we don't ever have to see each other ever again. Call it a day. Have a nice life.
So they paid you?
They paid me.
Nice.
Did they pay you anything on top of the cost?
No.
No?
No. My lawyer was like, if you ask for anything, because I had to show receipts. So like,
Just replace the you
just
broke it,
replace
your
my
brand.
gear.
Yeah.
And that's it. I'm not even going after you for like the pain and suffering and all that stuff. So I hope that was juicy enough for you.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
very
that was
juicy. I
great.
thought it was going to be like a fight with guests.
I mean, it's not great that they
No.
attacked you, but it was a great story.
Yeah.
And then this weekend, this past, was it?
You
this
get
weekend?
one, Fernando.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to tell you. No, this one was amazing. Have you ever had anybody pass out on you?
He's just sneaking in anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Like usually it's like somebody in a wedding party.
Like during the ceremony?
Yeah.
Yeah. This chick passed
In the
out.
sun, out of the palace.
Pregnant.
She passed
She was
out on the
pregnant.
back.
No, this chick was indoors and just went face first, cracked her face open.
Oh, no.
Josh Lynn told me a story. It's a quick story. Somebody
Come on,
went into
guys.
cardiac arrest
That
and
happened to me too.
passed away on the dance floor.
Yep.
I was like, what the fuck, man?
The guy didn't
Like-
die, but he had a massive stroke.
This guy
God.
died right on the dance floor. They were doing, they were trying to bring him back to life on the dance floor. And he
Wild.
passed away.
Well, yeah, what a killjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty intense.
All right, on that note, we are now almost
3 hours in.
3 hours in.
Good Lord. I kind of I kind of knew this
How
was
long do
coming.
you usually do this?
An hour and a half, two.
That's
Right, so you can say I was the
No.
best guest ever.
It's like two.
I will say there's a lot of good tidbits for social media that I'm very
Andreas is gonna
appreciative of what you
kill
did.
us. He's
But
gonna kill
the
you.
editor's gonna kill us. I think you have been our most talkative guest.
I'll take that as a compliment.
We have two other ones that we're talking of. You beat them by a long.
Fine, I won't come back here.
I'm messing with
We have
you.
another 2 episodes. It's all good.
This is part one.
Stay tuned for part 2. Maybe 3.
Just,
No, but it was very insightful.
we took so long. Karis left.
Yeah.
Oh, she's like, I had enough of this shit. I'm out. Is she editing or something? Or she had to go make dinner?
She had to make dinner for the kids. She's a single mom.
Yes, correct. That's what she says.
Single mom. Why am I here?
Oh man.
Well, anyway, that was
All
a lot of
right.
fun.
Yeah.
This was great,
I
guys.
talked a lot for my first podcast. Don't worry, I will adjust my
It
my
was-
speaking time next time.
It was good. So it was great to see things from a different wedding vendor.
Yeah, we talked a lot
Yeah.
of photographers, but it's
Yeah.
good to
So hear from the
I think you guys should do it like with
DJs.
other vendors too.
Yeah,
That would
Yeah,
be more
that's
fun.
what
We have some
goal.
video people coming in.
Yeah.
yeah.
But that's the same as you guys, because it's like
No, because we have beef
Content.
with each other too. There's
Yeah, I
differences,
know,
little
I
differences
know.
here and there. But yeah, more different vendors we're trying to get
but
onto.
Yeah.
We're inviting a lot of our friends first, our frienders, and then as we get used to this format, we'll invite other people.
you should
Yeah.
have a maitre d from a venue.
I've been trying.
We
I
want
might want
to,
to get
but
Brian
you
from
think
Pleasantville,
they're
maybe.
like-
Brian will do it.
Yeah.
You think they will be able
yeah.
to represent like
I can
They,
get
they, they probably have to ask
come by.
permission, Like I
Yeah.
feel like they have to go to
because
the
they're not
higher
working for
ups.
themselves?
So why don't you give him the Kanye mask? Have you seen his new?
or just blur him out and then throw his
He
voice?
shows
deep
up.
voice.
I'm a
With the
huge
deep
soccer
voice.
guy, so he was at the Inter Milan game today, and he was wearing that full like blackout mask that looks like a nylon.
And then disguise his
Kanye
voice too.
Yeah.
We'll see.
with the light above his head, like
We gotta
oh,
ask
No,
him.
you got to do the garbled one. Remember when they used to do the like the Dateline thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
who else? There's somebody else from Perona that I've been trying to get, but I don't know.
Because they work for somebody else. That's the
The
tough
guy-
part.
yeah.
You don't want. They don't want to like.
Rob,
Yeah, they don't want- yeah.
the
They don't
wanna
guy-
respect
the guy who
their-
does their social media.
Mm-hmm.
He's a photographer and he works for Perona, but I'm not sure.
You get a venue owner. See if you can get a venue owner.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
Venue
to access
owner is
people.
tough.
Yeah.
You know who I
We'll
would
see.
approach and I think would probably be open to it. But depends, I guess, if you catch him because I think he's one of those like Florida birds. Not, what do they call them when they go to Florida for
Snowbirds.
No birds.
Still,
I knew it was something related to birds. Perry from
He's-
Rock
oh, yeah,
Island.
yeah, he's friends with him.
Yeah, Rock Island.
Perry and Michelle. Yeah.
Yeah.
we worked
They're
there, like,
so
once or
easygoing.
twice,
I feel like they would
He
probably
roll up
be.
here in his McLaren.
Hey man, I don't know him that well, but I will say I do admire how quickly he went from being the maitre d' at Lake Valhalla and just kind of was like the guy that ran that place. In 5 years, he had 2 venues.
That's
Mhm.
crazy.
And both
Yeah,
venues
that's
are
awesome.
fully
That's a
booked.
really good story.
I personally think his trajectory is insane because when I first started DJing, the guy that I worked for, he was always at Lake Valhalla, so that's how I met him.
Mhm.
And he the guy ran the place. So Lake
I can-
Valhalla is
I
like
can-
a clubhouse. It's not really a
reach out.
venue.
I'll reach out.
Yeah.
He's when they first opened Bearbrook, he invited a bunch of vendors there, and
Mhm.
and he was very open. He like what he wanted to do was, it only happened once, but he wanted to get like vendors together. He goes, we all have different struggles, and we need to figure out how we could like attack it together.
Mhm.
And he was trying to like build this thing, but I don't know what the fuck happened. Like he seemed very nice.
Yeah, he is a
What
nice
happened
guy.
is
Probably got
everybody is
busy. Yeah, he probably got too busy.
well,
yeah.
not only that is like this goes back to the whole like selfish / like pettiness of this industry. Not everybody has that mindset, and if the majority of the people are always kind of looking out for themselves, and they're always willing to either undercut or hurt their fellow vendor rather than collaboration, and that's why when Ben hit me up about the summit, I'm like, yeah, man, like. I think it's a cool thing to do, but also like I looked at it as more as like maybe I'll get some different insight. And I was like taking notes. I'm like, this is actually pretty cool because
It was good.
it was like you just mentioned, it was really cool to see and hear different ways to market yourself, but also different approaches for pretty much anything. I forget who was talking about like the whole like life balance thing. Was it you?
Was
Nathan.
Nathan.
Yeah. That kind of hit home a little bit because I really haven't excelled at that. Luckily, my wife is very cool with my I go hard all the time kind of thing because she's the same way. But, I've also noticed that like we're we're not traveling that much anymore. We're not really enjoying, the fruits of our labor that much anymore.
Mhm.
So I'm like, you know what? Maybe we kind of need to revert it back to that.
Yeah.
Because we were always the type, or at least me, I would always be like, all right, we're going somewhere. Like, what do you mean we're going? I'm like, we're going somewhere. Like, figure out when you can get out of work.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
Just go.
I have her for that.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
want to
know,
go
I
everywhere.
don't know any other venue owners. I have to think. That would be it.
I know a few, but I'm just thinking of the people that I think would be willing to do this. And the only one that comes to mind would be Perry. And yes, he would be pulling up in his McLaren. The first time I saw, or his Chevelle. You ever see that Chevelle?
Oh my
Sick.
God.
But listen, like I said, I don't know them, but like
More power to you, man.
props. Because seeing where he came from versus where he is now and how successful both of those venues are.
Yeah,
wild.
they're not cheap. They're not cheap.
Yeah.
venues.
So funny story about Bearbrook, and this is my last tidbit. My buddy Joey, he does like AV installations, and he calls me randomly one day, and he's like, "Are you bored?" I could be. He's like,
It
"It's
depends.
January. I know you're bored." He's like, "Listen, I got hired to do all the security cameras and audio wiring for this new venue. Same owner as Rock Island." Oh, that's cool. Like, you want to be my assistant? I'm like, "What do I got to do?" He's like, "Pull wire for like 8 hours for a week." So I saw that place coming together. I saw
Yeah.
it built.
Oh,
That's
April?
nice.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, whenever you see security cameras, I did that. I didn't do the
Probably have
sound.
access to them.
No,
You
not
give
at
yourself
all.
Wi-Fi access, like remote access.
So I did have the
So you
Wi-
can turn off the cameras when you're about to kick some ass.
I literally.
I saw you to pay Taylor Swift, bro. Fuck that.
All right, how are we going to wrap this up?
Punch
Well,
people
and
on the
wrap it
regular.
up like that. We'll just.
We can't just wrap. Well,
No, stay tuned for episode 2.
Oh,
I'll be
no.
back.
Awesome. So I guess we got focused AF. We're no longer
No, we're not
focused.
focused there.
I'm
No, we're
not
not.
focused
We're
AF.
not focused
Not
AF. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we tried, right?
yeah, we
We're,
did good. I think there was a lot of good tidbits. So thank you,
Yeah.
Fernando.
Thank you guys for having me. It was a lot of fun.
We
Lot of-
appreciate
lot
you
of
coming out
entertaining,
here.
Can we do
anecdotes.
more beers next time, though?
I have more.
Yeah.
No, I don't want now. Like,
Oh.
I mean, like, I need to be
I
fully
was,
prepared
I
for
was a
this.
little off, so I might have to promise you a second one because
I would love to come back and just shoot the shit with you
normally
guys.
I'm
let's do it.
bartending, but I can't.
I know. I kind of was going to mention that, but I'm like, but the guy's sick as a dog. So I feel bad for him.
And we'll
There's
do
all the
dinner now
episodes I've
because
seen of like guys coming out with like these craft cocktails. I'm like,
Yeah, I got nothing but
That's why
fucking
I brought
beers.
beer.
You got
'cause
the
I was
bear
like,
experience.
We kind of knew he was under the weather.
yeah.
no, yeah, for sure. I
All
just
right.
hope he feels better.
Close out.
Yeah, let's close
Close
out.
out.
Go ahead.
Deuces.
Fernando, where can you let our listeners know
So
where you are?
you guys can follow me on Instagram at DJ Fernando S. The content is mostly weddings, but you'll also see my dogs. A lot of dog content.
That's a plus.
That is a huge plus. My dogs are my life. And you can follow my company at Blanc Noir Events. On all social media channels, we have the same tag for all of them. So definitely check us out. We're also throwing a new mix series. So if you guys want some beats for the gym, the car, or to cough your lungs out like Ben does, it's mixcloud.com/DJ Fernando S.
I'll check that out. I'm always
Awesome.
looking for a playlist.
All right. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Focused AF podcast. If you want to see some behind the scenes and clips from the episodes, check us out on Instagram at focused.af. And if you have wedding stories or if you want to be a guest, shoot us an email at hello@focus-af.com.
That's it.
That's
All right.
it.
Bye.
Bye.
Adios.
Ciao.
Adios.
Bye.
Focused AF is a fun, business-focused podcast for wedding creatives.
Co-hosted by award-winning husband and wife wedding photography teams Ben and Karis.
And Jenn Ro, where we help fellow wedding creatives with their sales and marketing.
With laid-back conversations and real talk with some of our most favorite people in the universe.
And with that being said, are you focused AF?
I am focused AF today.
We are Focused AF.
I think I might be Focused AF.
Welcome to the Focused AF podcast.